Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Progress, hosted by me, Mark Joseph Szymanski. Today we have back in the, I don't know, what do you call it? The wiffle ball compound back in the day. We'll get into it. In MJS Studios here, we have Liam Carlin. How have you been, man? It's been a minute.
I've been good, man. It's great to see you. Last time we were together, we were probably playing some deck hockey and playing wiffle ball, running around. We were probably like 12 years old.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So yeah, what is it, like 13 years later? Now we're recording podcasts.
That's it.
Yeah.
Our lives have definitely evolved,
Right.
for sure. But that's awesome to see. I'm happy to see that you're doing well. And we've got a lot to chat about. We've got a lot to catch up on. We've been talking here probably for about a half an hour as we were setting up everything. And I'm excited to kind of document this here for the people because you've got some awesome stuff going on. And I think that it's definitely inspiring, and it's something that, you know, any type of these types of connections or reconnections and things like that always get me kind of motivated and to do more. So where do we start? Maybe let's start just kind of with your story so far. Like, actually, right now, what would you kind of say that you're kind of doing if you had to give just a general feel of where your life is currently?
Sure. So right now, I'd say that I'm running a fitness company, Carlin Fitness Systems.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep it broad and call it a fitness company, but the main thing that I'm doing is one-on-one personal training with clients.
Mm-hmm.
So, this entails a lot of different things. I've been studying up on different forms of fitness. I had to get my personal training certification, things like that. Basically, to lay the groundwork of the business, I had to jump through some legal hoops.
Mm-hmm.
Just to establish the business to be able to operate in Pennsylvania,
Right.
get the liability insurance, things like that. Something like personal training, someone could come in, twist their ankle, and sue you for $1 million.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you have all your bases covered that way. But I've been doing the personal training for over a year now, operating the business for less than a year, probably closer to about 6 months. But yeah, I've seen a lot of progress out of my clients. It's super rewarding to see somebody pushing themselves, making themselves better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any of the work for them. I'm just kind of coaching them and guiding them through it. They're doing it for themselves. So that's been super great. Yeah, so that's where we're at with the Carlin Fitness Systems.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's funny because I know that one of the ways that we kind of reconnect, I think it's always interesting when you think about it. So we're, mid-20s now, and like you said, we're probably early adolescence when we were out in the yard playing and out in the around the neighborhood. But when you come back and I like I said, it was probably a month ago at this point. I found you on Instagram again, just from circles and suggested friends and things like that. And I was like, oh shit, Liam, I remember him, obviously. And it's like I don't know if you can relate to that, but like there's people like in your past that you obviously know and you have memories of, but as time goes on and you just kind of everybody goes their separate ways, then you can come back and it's cool. You can have a sit down conversation, reminisce about things, and then it's really cool when you're also kind of doing similar things or you're somewhat like-minded, ambitious, and just kind of moving forward. So again, I think that is I think that's a cool story at least.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes around full circle. There's been
Yeah.
a lot of friends of mine who, maybe we haven't seen each other for like 10 years or so. And then either, we have similar jobs or something like that, and we kind of reconnect. And it's always great to catch up and, do the whole, hey, how have you been?
Yeah.
But to see like kind of, how you've known somebody when they were younger as kids and then see where they're at now. It's like, oh, wow, that's awesome. They've really done a lot, made a lot of progress.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So maybe let's go back before we go forward and we hit on some of these things. So how did you get to the point that you're at now? Like what was the, because one of the hallmarks of the show obviously is that it's progress. It's, being fueled by progress, continuing to get better. We chatted a little bit about it off air, but what's kind of the backstory? Like maybe, in the collegiate years to now and how you've built the idea and the inception of the business and just kind of how you've started your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. I'll take it even back a little bit further than the collegiate years. So, as you know, that I've been into fitness for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I've been training seriously for over 15 years in terms of my own fitness. And there were different things that happened, throughout that timeline that kind of fueled more growth, more progress in this. So I started working out when I was about 11 years old. Luckily, I've been raised by two fit parents that exercise and participated in sports, so that kind of laid the groundwork. I played football for most of my life, all throughout high school, and during these years playing football, I suffered some serious injuries. So when I was 15, 16, and 17 years old, so that's freshman, sophomore, junior year, each one of those football seasons, I suffered an ACL tear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Three?
very serious. 3 consecutive years.
All same ACL?
So the first time was on my right knee.
Yeah.
The second time I retore my right knee. After this second time, I went through extensive rehab. I was doing physical therapy 3 or 4 days a week. I was working out 7 days a week. I was on a strict diet program. I came back the next season of my junior year, the best shape of my life. I probably was about 30 pounds heavier than you see me now. So I was muscled up, ready to go. Legs were feeling strong. First game back, I tore my left ACL.
Oh my gosh.
So within those 3 years and suffering those 3 serious injuries that required surgery, that could really break your soul and your spirit in terms of wanting to play sports or wanting to exercise or anything like that. It could put a very sour taste in your mouth. So it was very difficult to kind of, I'll use a mythological reference, and to push that boulder up the mountain just to have it roll back down the other side each year. I'm working to recover. Boom, and another injury happens, another huge setback. So going through this, I actually learned a ton about injury prevention, keeping the body healthy, joint mobility, all these different things that I was learning through my physical therapy. I still apply in my day-to-day routines. So I was lucky to have very good physical therapists that kind of took me under their wing and shared as much information as they could with me. They saw that I was a young, eager kid, and they really did mentor me, not just to recover from my injury, but to actually teach me, about what all physical therapy entails, what it means to take care of the body, and things like that. So I'd say that those 3 injuries played a huge role in me being so deeply committed to fitness. To get knocked down like that and then to have to fight back to regain your health is difficult. So, and especially doing that in your adolescent years during high school, it's even more difficult. Definitely. Because, sports can sometimes become like your identity in those years. And to have that kind of taken away from me, I had to reassess and say, I'm not a football player anymore. I no longer play football. My senior year, I decided not to play, not to risk a possible 4th ACL injury. And from there, I was still working out, but I was kind of like in between. What should I be committed to? I don't know. Why am I even doing this? And then I kind of realized, well, wait, you don't have to play sports to work out. You can just work out for your own self-improvement. Once I started looking at it differently, and it was more about exercising self-discipline and my own self-improvement, I started working out like a maniac, taking it to a whole nother level, to the point where I work out every day. There's not a day that I miss. I probably work out close to 400 times a year. Wow. So I'm all in. There's no question that I'm fully committed to fitness. And I attribute it to kind of the struggles that I faced through injuries. Interesting.
That's a lot of working out. I wish I could. I wish we were talking about that before. The consistency that I have in this area is not very high. I wish I could do something. So, yeah, that's. I don't know. I think that is staggering. Like 2 times a day sometimes, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah. If I had more time available, I'd be working out 2-3 times a day. Now, I'm sure some people are listening and say, that's not good for the body. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But if you break up your training and then you're doing things like I'll do an hour of yoga for a workout, and that'll help the body recover. I feel loose. I feel recharged after that. I don't feel like I've broken down muscle tissue. So if I do an hour of yoga in the morning and then I do strength training in the evening, there's a 2 a day where you're not overly challenging the body, and it's productive. You got to watch, because if you're training too much, then it'll obviously be counterproductive.
Definitely. So, maybe let's. I have a burning question on this. Do you think, what would you attribute those injuries to in a sense? Was it just bad luck, or was it like some sort of a weakness that you feel that you have overcome now in, just like injury prevention and everything like that? Like, I mean, because that seems unreal that's happened. Like, it happened that many times. And actually, since then, have you had any sort of like similar injuries or anything like that?
I've had some minor knee injuries, but they weren't directly related to how I tore my ACL. So, those were burning questions I had too. After tearing my ACL 3 times, I was thinking, why me? Why is this happening to me? Is this, I'm going to make another mythological reference. Is this my Achilles heel? I'm just cursed, and these are going to be my injuries. So there's a couple things that came into play. The first time that I asked this to my doctor, he kind of showed a side-by-side x-ray of both of my legs. And my femurs bow very slightly, and this puts increased pressure or increased load onto the ACL, the anterior cruciate ligament. So just from that natural bone structure that I was born with, I was already at a slightly increased risk of tearing my ACL. This, combined with the fact that almost all high school football players are playing on turf and wearing spikes, this also increases risk of ACL tear, because if you pivot or cut, your foot is not going to give out because the spikes are dug deeply into that turf. If you're on grass and you make a hard cut, your foot might just slip and then you might just fall and there will be no damage to your knee. But if you make a hard cut on turf and your body can't handle it, it'll rupture that ACL. So every time that I tore my ACL, I was playing football on turf.
Interesting. Very interesting tidbits there, because that's, I don't know if I'm not a football player. I never was, but I think that is I guess those are some of the reasons then that why that might have happened, which is, I don't know. I guess it's kind of comforting in a way that now that you know that. So I mean, obviously you don't play football anymore,
Right?
But is that something that even because you're not doing like contact things at this point, like what have you done to, well, like for instance, we mentioned knees over toes, which is something that I've tried to do recently that again has not been consistent whatsoever. But do you think, from what you've seen of that, like as an example, do you think those are types of things that can help in injury prevention and just kind of strengthen those areas specifically in lower body and around the knee?
Yeah, definitely. So the Knees Over Toes program, if you want to look that guy up on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, he definitely knows what he's talking about, and the ways that he is training people to develop their leg muscles is definitely going to kind of mitigate those risks of serious knee injury. In terms of what I do personally to kind of make sure that none of this ever happens again is working knee stability in all of the lower body exercises that I do. So rather than just going to the gym and doing heavy squats or deadlifts or something like this, I try to create a very unstable environment for whatever leg exercise I'm doing. So whether that's using a Bosu ball, standing on a foam roll, standing on a balance beam, something like that, creating that unstable environment causes you to use the stabilizing muscles rather than just firing your quadriceps, hamstring muscles. Normally, there's all kinds of little muscles that kind of surround the joint. And if you can create an unstable environment and train yourself to be comfortable there, then you could certainly kind of limit your risk of injury.
Interesting. And maybe we should talk about that a little bit too. So if we dive deeper into like the things that you do, we've talked about yoga and occasionally like the lower stress workouts like yoga and stuff like that. But you were telling me that, what does your actual day-to-day look like? It's as far as like how you go about your routine.
Right. So how I typically structure a workout for myself, and again, I've already harped on how often I work out. So I try to make sure that it's not repetitive and I'm always doing new creative things. So a standard workout for me, I'll go to the gym and I'll foam roll. This is called self-myofascial release. So you're kind of breaking up any knots in the muscle tissue just by rolling out on a foam roller. From there, your body is then primed to stretch. So foam rolling and stretching should always go hand in hand. So after I foam roll for about 5 to 10 minutes, and again, I'm foam rolling my entire body, back, legs, shoulders, etc. I'll move into some stretching, which will basically become a yoga flow. Again, this is full body. So I'm flowing into one yoga pose to the next, probably for about another 10 minutes. stretching out my entire body. I'm doing deep breathing. I'm oxygenating my body while I'm doing this. And then from there, I've already done the foam roll, the yoga. I feel loose. I'm ready to go. I'll move into some more dynamic movements and like joint mobility. So exercises like swing the gait, where you kind of are opening up the hip, things like that, deep lunges, deep sumo squats, stuff like that, where I try to take all my joints through their full range of motion. After doing this for about another 10 minutes, so I'm about 30 minutes into my workout, and I haven't picked up a weight yet. I'm just stretching, moving, getting the body feeling good. From there, I will usually do some shadow boxing to get my heart rate up. I have a martial arts background, so shadow boxing is a zero equipment exercise that I do on a daily basis. From there, once I'm warmed up, I'll move into some bodyweight exercises, typically emphasizing the core. So these are things that I just do on the ground. Usually I'm on all fours or lying on my back, and I will take my body through a series of core exercises. The way I like to break those down, rather than going for repetitions, is to do a series of exercises for 30 seconds each. So, for example, a split that I will do, I'll pick 4 different exercises, 4 core exercises for this example, and I'll do them for 30 seconds each, one after another. So that's 2 minutes of activity, and then I'll take a 30-second rest. So this is structured to simulate a 2-minute round. So whether you're boxing, doing MMA, something like that, typically the rounds are going to be around 2 minutes. So I purposely try to challenge my body to have 2 minutes of hard activity with a 30-second rest. For body weight exercises, I feel like that's a better way to do it than just say, hey, do 20 sit-ups. Rather, do sit-ups for 30 seconds. That way, you're pushing yourself to do as many as you can in that 30 seconds. And also, no matter who's doing it, 30 seconds of activity is going to be challenging, whether you're entry level or you're advanced. So let me go off on a tangent here, and I'll say that whenever I'm training somebody, and I'll do a similar structure, if they are brand new and I tell them to do something for 30 seconds, they may only get it for 3 or 4 reps, and that's fine. Or if I'm working with somebody advanced and I tell them to do it for 30 seconds, they might get 30 or 40 reps. So that structure is reliable no matter who you're working with.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So after I finish these body weight and core exercises, then I usually do more of my strength training and weightlifting. So now I'm feeling loose. I've stretched out every muscle in my body. I've taken all my joints through their full range of motion. I've got my heart rate up, and I've worked my core using body weight exercises. Then I go, and the way that my gym is structured, I do the first series of my workout at the front of the gym. There's like an open padded area and a turf area that I'll use for the stretching and warm up. And then I go in the back and lift weights, probably for about 45 minutes to an hour. Typically my workouts are right about hour 45 minutes. Sometimes they'll go over, sometimes they'll be less. I can certainly get a workout in only 20 minutes, but I to be honest, I like to take my time, make sure I'm warmed up, stretch everything out. And then after I'm done lifting weights, I will again cool my body back down. So the cool down is super important, and a lot of people neglect it. They think, their hardest part of their workout should be at the end, and then they leave after that. This is a huge mistake because they're going to leave, and their muscles are going to contract. They're going to get very stiff, and they're hurting their own recovery. So the cool down is important. You want to stretch all the muscles that you worked throughout that workout. You want to stretch them back out. The terminology is you want to restore them to their proper length-tension relationships. So basically, you want your muscles to be stretched out to the same way that they were before you came into the gym. So after about a 10 to 15 minute cool down, from there I'll wrap it up and I'll be done.
Interesting. So you said, what is that, like an hour and a half you said?
Yeah, about hour 45 minutes. Sometimes it'll be 2 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be an hour.
Gotcha.
It depends what's going on that day,
Yeah.
what all the exercises I'm hitting. But usually around that time frame.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of working out. Like I said, like we've already established here, like 400 days, or not 400 days, but 400 times, 400 sessions a year. And I think maybe this is a good kind of thing because obviously fitness is a huge part of your life, but currently, it's not the only part of your life, right? So
Right.
like, you know, all of us, we have to manage our time somehow. So what are you kind of doing right now? So currently fitness is kind of like the maybe a side hustle type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can go deeper into that as we go here. But right now, how are you balancing that with, and what are you doing on the main part of your days?
Sure. So here's where things get a little sticky. I do still have a full-time job. I work as an operations manager for a truck leasing company. This is very time-consuming. I usually, waking up a little before 6, about 5:45 a.m. I'll get up, at work around 7, work from about 7 to 5. Anyone who works in operations will understand what I'm saying, that you literally have to do a little bit of everything. So it's some customer service, answering phone calls, managing those customer relationships, ordering supplies, ordering parts, scheduling appointments for the trucks to come in, and then putting out fires left and right. Anything that goes wrong, it's basically my job to fix.
Yep.
So operations can be a very stressful job. It is, in fact, what I went to school for. So I'm working in my field. So that's good. You don't see that too often. You know, a lot of people come out with college degrees and they end up somewhere completely different, and that's fine. So from there, I'll leave work, leaving at about 5 p.m. Like I said, I'll get to the gym at about 6, and sometimes I'm there for about another 4 hours. So it's hard for me to even get a meal in sometimes because I'm leaving one job, I'm driving straight to the next. I'll work out with my clients, usually 2 or 3 per evening, and then I'll try to work out after that. So sometimes I'm not getting into my own workout until like 9 p.m. and I've been up all day, stressing all day. So it's really hard to find that energy and motivation to work out. But for me, the feeling of not taking care of myself would be more bothersome than it is for me to summon the motivation to work out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I just, trained my clients and I thought, I'm tired. I did a lot today. I'm going to go home. That would bother me. I'd feel guilty. I'd be very upset that I didn't train myself that day. So that's what's always pushing me to make sure I get my own workout in, is I know that if I don't, I'm going to feel mentally unsatisfied with myself.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing in most people's lives it's a common concept here where we have to obviously continue to progress and continue to think about what really makes us happy or fulfilled and those types of things, because like you said, are just satisfied really with yourself. And I was going to ask, like, so you're at the gym all day, or not at the gym all day, but you're at work all day, then you're at the gym. And how does, as a random piece of this, I'm doing the math in my head here. You're waking up pretty early, probably going to sleep. You gotta eat sometime. Maybe you're eating after the gym or whatever. Like, how does that all play into maybe like diet? We can touch on that. That's a bigger topic, but also even like sleep. Like how important is sleep to you? Like, do you feel like you're getting enough? Like all of that type of thing, like just for recovery purposes.
It's something I need to prioritize more. The whole, when people say you need 8 hours of sleep, they're right. 8 hours is a good marker, and that's what everyone should strive to hit. Typically, I'm getting about 7 hours of sleep a night. So I'll come home from the gym, get a quick bite to eat, and I'm right in bed. Don't watch TV or anything like that. But that's not enough. I need to get more sleep, and I could feel it by the end of the week. So by Thursday, Friday, my mental energy is low. Physical energy is low, and I could just feel myself kind of like depleted, dropping off. And then by the time Friday evening comes around, all my friends are going out, getting some drinks, hanging out. I basically go to bed as early as possible on Friday night just because I'm so drained. And then on Saturday, that's a huge recovery day for me. So I'll try to sleep in a little bit, nothing crazy. Do some clients, get some things organized. Work on some side projects, and then I try to schedule a nap for myself every Saturday, even if it's just like an hour or so, just to kind of let my body and mind reset a little bit. And then same thing on Sunday. I'll try to take it easy, and then Monday through Friday, I'm getting after it, for going full speed ahead. So there's little idle time during the weekdays for me. Yeah.
Do you ever foresee that kind of like changing? Is that kind of the goal to move more towards like a fitness centric life?
Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up. I've kind of been going back and forth in my own mind about this. But I am considering, leaving my line of work as an operations manager to focus full time on fitness. I feel like this is just my natural calling. As we've already discussed, I'm working out every day. I love it. That's the happiest time throughout my day is when I'm exercising and at the gym. So if I can find a way to monetize that and do that for a living, that would be ideal. So that's where we're moving to. And then this would allow me to take on more clients, expand a little bit. Hopefully, ideally, I'd like to grow to the point where I hire other personal trainers to work under my business umbrella, kind of expand that way. I'd like to tap into many other markets, such as fitness apparel sales, gym equipment sales. I plan to own my own gym. I plan to own multiple gyms at that.
Nice.
Possibly starting a supplement line. Now, these are all ideas, and I don't have the capital that it would require to do that. But
Takes time.
Without having that vision, it's never going to get done, and that is where I see this going.
Absolutely. You're going to be building your own Alpha Land here pretty soon.
Right.
Like Christian Guzman.
Yeah, that's right.
Alpha Land of Pittsburgh or California or wherever.
Right. We'll start in Pittsburgh and see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's dope, man. I'm happy for you there because this is, I don't know if this is like a weird question to some. It might be people that haven't gotten there yet. Do you think that where would you say the I know it's been a part of your life for a long time, but I know for me there was kind of like a specific area of time or like, part of time where I decided that I wanted to do more things and prioritize like my own happiness and fulfillment and things like that rather than just kind of doing the 9-to-5 thing. And obviously you're still like kind of doing both, which I think is very responsible, obviously. But the point that I'm making is that you just articulated that you have come to the conclusion and you see it, that this is the thing that is like yours, like fitness, training people, continuing to push people to do better and just help people and coach people. Was there a time where it just like really kind of clicked with you that was going to be the path that you, and like maybe was it something that an experience that you had, like I'm talking like an experience you had, video you saw, or just like mindset shift? I think some people really need that spark. And I'm wondering if you have a specific spark.
What's funny is a friend of mine and I were just talking about this. Back in middle school, I had written a report, and it was kind of like a letter to your future self. What do you want to be when you grow up? Something of that nature. And I wrote mine about how I wanted to own a gym when I was older.
Wow.
So this idea has kind of always been in my head, but then going to college and things like that kind of pull you away. Kind of pull you down that corporate path.
Right.
You want a good job, you want full benefits, 401k, all that stuff. And then, owning a gym doesn't sound quite as lucrative.
Right.
But I'd say, since that idea has always been there, kind of a major turning point would be when I formally launched Carlin Fitness Systems as a business. The outpour of support that I got from friends, family, and basically anyone else who knew about it, saying, they were proud of me pursuing my goals, things like that. It's really inspiring. I didn't expect that, and that's not why I launched a business. I wasn't looking for everyone to give me a pat on the back, but that was extremely rewarding for me, and that kind of led me to believe, hey, this is something I need to be committed to. It seems like this is what I need to do. This is my calling.
Gotcha. Yeah. So a couple of things there. Yeah, it's always been in you, but that's a great point you make too about like as you go throughout life, as you go to college and you do the things that are, I don't know if I'd say considered like the normal path or whatever, but like, most people, go to high school, say, where are you going to go to college? Like junior year, senior year and everything. And college, I think, is a kind of a motif, a common motif of this, because this show specifically, because we always talk about it because, I don't know, maybe I'll get your thoughts on this. Like, do you think college is, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's kind of worth it? Do you think, a lot of people I think go into some decent debt, right, with college, and it depends on what your circumstance is, obviously, but what are your kind of like top level thoughts on, let's make it easier. You have, let's say, fast forward to the future, you have a kid that is in junior year. What are you telling them right now? Like, what are your thoughts as far as like advising them on whether they should, whether they shouldn't, like type of stuff like that?
So I think that a lot of kids our age were kind of coached to believe that if you want to be successful, college is a stepping stone that you must cross.
Yeah.
This is incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me also say that I had an amazing college experience. So I went to IUP. I made a ton of friends, a ton of business connections. I learned a lot, and I'm super grateful for the experience that I had at that university. That being said, I don't think that you need to go to college at all times to achieve your goals. And some people are just going to college because they think that's what they need to do, rather than a direct plan of I want to be a dentist, I need to go to dental school. Some people are kind of going to college not knowing what they want to do, just thinking that I'll just go to college and then it'll work itself out because I'll have that college degree.
Right.
So back to your original question, if I in the future, if I'm speaking to a child of mine who's ready to make that decision, I just want them to kind of see that there are many more options than going to college. You can be a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician. You could be a tattoo artist. You can be a personal trainer. You can do anything that you want, and not every career path requires a college degree. Not that I wasn't coached by my parents that way. They always told me that I could do whatever I want. If I don't want to go to college, I don't have to. They were very open-minded that way. But I just felt within myself and the pressure from society that it was the only option. I have to go to college. What else am I going to do?
Right.
And that if I didn't go to college, I was some way letting myself down. I was a failure if I didn't go to college. So I will make certain to emphasize to my future child that nobody has to go to college. There are certain careers where it would behoove them to have a college education, but not all careers. And in terms of the debt that accompanies the college experience, something needs to change with that. That is a serious problem.
Yeah.
Nobody should be burdened by that level of debt just to go to school and be in a classroom for 4 years or so. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a setback, I would say. This is something that I've given a decent amount of thought to, because with my experience, went to the University of Pittsburgh, didn't have to actually live there because I live 15 minutes from the campus, and saved a lot of money that way, and was fortunate enough to not have a ton of debt coming out. But at the same time, though, some people don't have that ability. Like, they get into schools that they can't commute to. They get, they don't get, federal aid, this, that, or the other thing, like whatever it is. And some of the stories and things that I've seen just from like people like, our age, a little younger, a little older, this idea that they're paying off debt for years and years from college. And sometimes, like you said, they're not even in their own field. That like the degree doesn't even really get you into a place that it said it was going to get you into, in a sense, right? Like, you couldn't get a job in that field. It's kind of difficult for me to swallow. I think I'll probably end up doing the same thing, with my future kids, is tell them that it's a tough thing, though, because I almost think that some people, a lot of kids at 18 don't really understand the concept. It's hard to really get that through people's heads. Like, we understand that at 25, mid-20s, more than we understood that then. I think, no question. But it's just a weird concept that a weird societal thing that we have made here, where it's like just everybody at 18 is signing on this dotted line for potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt.
Yeah, long-term debt. You're making that decision when you're still in high school. It's wrong.
Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully we can do something about that, or at least on a one-to-one level. As more people kind of realize that college is overpriced and not necessarily always the best choice, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I feel like I've probably gotten more value out of like YouTube than I have like college, for instance. Maybe, books and things like that as well. Podcasts, I think, are huge. But there's just so much information out there nowadays where I don't know, like, if you really have to have a formal setting. Like, for instance, in all the things that you've learned so far with your business, and how to start a business, how to, account, do the accounting for a business, how to actually market a business, how to run a fitness business. Where have you gotten some of that information? Was it mostly YouTube, friends, like different resources? Like what was some of the big resources for that?
So it was definitely a lot of friends and mentors. Mentors not just in the fitness industry, but entrepreneurs who were kind of showing me the ropes of how to get things going on your own. But there actually was a lot that I did learn in college that kind of gave me the confidence. Like, okay, I went to business school. Running my own business doesn't sound that crazy because I understand the finer points of business. So I think it did help me there. One point I do want to go back to, though, in terms of the college experience, what I found to be most valuable was not actually, attending classes or getting a degree or anything like that. But the most valuable part of going to college for me was making friends, being in a new social environment, living on my own, having to do my own laundry, having to do my own grocery shopping, things like that were very important in my development at that age. More so important than actually being in the classroom and listening to lectures was actually like living the college lifestyle. So, being a good college student requires time management skills. Time management skills that you might not be able to learn the same way if you have never went there or have never been in that position where you have to manage yourself.
Right. Yeah. This is where we differ because I commuted to Pitt, like I said, and I didn't have like that college experience. And honestly, I feel like I skipped a big portion of my life because of that. So, as of now, we're, building up these businesses and doing different things like that. I still haven't lived like alone, still haven't lived on my own, which I think is a good and bad thing. Obviously, you could argue that, the laundry type stuff and like those things around the house and stuff like that. And just kind of like that different environment. We'll get there, that type of thing. But the other thing obviously is like you stay at home, you save money, you stockpile it, you're able to hopefully like, make some, business moves or whatever, or just be a little more secure when you do finally make that jump. So I definitely hear you there. The one thing I would say is that I don't know, like, I think a different approach though absolutely could be to just go out and live on your own, like at 18, rather than like obviously having to go to college. So that again, we're just spitballing ideas here, but like for future children purposes, like, I think that could be an idea where it's like, okay, well maybe you go try to, grab an apartment and, just try to, it's cheaper than, I don't know, 30 grand a year or something like that. If that is the case, I'm not advocating to not go to college, more advocating self-awareness, I think is just kind of like, and rationalizing and going through the situation in that regard.
Yeah,
But
you can definitely get that value that I was talking about without going to college. So
definitely.
even just something as simple as moving out, moving to a new area, living on your own, you would definitely be able to build all those skills, meeting new people, things like that, managing yourself. So yeah, you definitely don't need to drop all that money on college just so you learn how to wake up early and do your own laundry and stuff like that. You're right, there are other ways to get there. Yeah. But just for me personally, I found greater value to be in those like social settings, less in the like straight up academic settings.
Definitely. Yeah. I think again, unless you're going to med school or something like that, I think a lot of people do find that. And I think that's terrific. If you embrace those types of things, you make those connections, I think it lasts a lifetime, So I think that's definitely something that is definitely to be considered. I know you want to talk about a little bit, and maybe this was a little bit forged from those times, kind of like your you mentioned this before we went on and I laughed, your ideal day. So like, and like kind of how like the routines and stuff, we touched on a little bit that already. But yeah, I'm interested in the ideal day thing because I also have a experience or an idea that kind of coalesces with that.
Okay, yeah. I'll get into that a little bit. So let's set up the framework here. You're off. You don't have to go to the office or anything like that. Maybe you could be doing some work, but maybe work for yourself. But aside from that, it's like a free day. In that setting, for me, the perfect day would be, sleep in a little bit. Maybe I wake up at 9 a.m., come downstairs, I'm going to drink a glass of water, I'm going to go outside. And ideally, the sun's going to be shining. This is going to be a summer day for this example. So the sun's out, I just had a glass of water. Maybe I'll get into some stretching or something like that in the sunlight. Maybe I'll take a walk around the block. The main part is movement in the sunshine first thing in the morning. It's going to help my body wake up. That's going to throw my circadian rhythm in the proper direction. From there, I'm going to be feeling good. Sunlight to anyone is going to make you feel better. From the vitamin D to just knowing that the weather is going to be nice that day, it's going to put you in a good mood. From there, I'll come in. I am a big coffee drinker, so there'd be a pot of black coffee waiting for me when I come back in.
Yep.
But notice how I said water first. Got to drink a little bit of water before you just get into the coffee.
Yeah.
So I'd make myself a cup of coffee, and then I'd throw some music on and start cooking breakfast. So a lot of happiness in my day-to-day life comes from cooking. For me, it's almost like a meditation. And then I know that if I'm cooking myself a good, healthy meal, that I'm taking care of myself, and it's more rewarding for me. So for breakfast, in the ideal day, I would cook something like egg whites with some sautéed vegetables, like some mushrooms, spinach, tomatoes, things like that. Kind of make like a vegetable omelet with a side of avocado. So low carb breakfast to get started for me is what I like. After that is digested, in the next hour or so while you're digesting, maybe you could get some reading in, maybe you go back outside. The TV is going to stay off, that's for sure. But then that's where I'd like to get my workout in. So after the first meal of the day is properly digested is when I prefer to work out. So, maybe get into the gym around 11 a.m. or so. And it doesn't even have to be at the gym. If you're going to work out outside, go for a run, go to a park, find a pull-up bar. Really doesn't matter where you're at, but, getting at least 60 minutes of physical exercise in. Then from there, come home, shower, maybe get another meal in me. Maybe it's just something light, maybe a protein shake, or maybe, I had a light breakfast. I'm feeling pretty hungry. I'd cook myself a bigger lunch. So again, this is, the ideal day for me is very diet related. So every meal is going to be clean in the perfect day.
Yeah.
So maybe for lunch, I eat something like some salmon, jasmine rice, some more cooked vegetables, maybe throw some broccoli in there, something like that. And then once that is digested, something in terms of personal development. So a journal on what I want to complete for the week, a journal expressing gratitudes for the day, something in writing would be good, some additional reading or listen to a podcast, something like that, something that would have to do with my intellectual development. From there, and again, this is a summer day, the sun's still shining, I'd like to get back outside. So for me, I get a lot of peace of mind out of doing any type of outdoor activity. So this could be something like going for a hike, going kayaking, going swimming, going for a bike ride. Sometimes I do all of those things in one day. So I'd be going back outside for something like that. So some solitude in nature, whether I go to a state park, national park, something like that. But getting deep into the woods is a very important part of my ideal day. So, let's say we go kayaking and then go for a hike or something like that. That's going to probably take up the bulk of my day. That's going to be a couple hour excursion. And then from there, we're coming home. It's evening time. Probably cook some dinner. I like to grill out, especially in the summertime. So, again, throw some sort of healthy lean meat on the grill with some vegetables. I generally eat pretty low carb. I'm not anti-carb by any means. I still eat, rice, sweet potatoes, fruits, and stuff like that. But generally, it's lower carbohydrate. So, light dinner, some meat, vegetables, and then from there in the evening time, ideally, I'd be getting together with some friends and having some sort of social outing. Maybe all of my friends get together, sit around a table. We could be doing anything, having a glass of wine, sharing stories, talking about plans for some trip we're going to take, something like that, sharing some laughs for sure. But yeah, at the end of the day, I like to wind down and just kind of not be so focused on living, this disciplined Spartan lifestyle, but just getting together with some friends and relaxing a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a great day.
I wish I wish I was doing it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, so do you think, so that's, let me kind of give my context too, because when you mentioned that earlier before we went live, I laughed. And the reason I said I laughed is because I have my own like idea of that. And I said, you stole the ideal day phrase from me or whatever, but it's because, when I was working and I was starting to get miserable at that job, and I was like, this sucks. If I could do anything, if money was like not really an object, or even if money is an object, but like you just have a day, like what is your ideal day that you could do every day for seemingly the rest of your life and be happy about it? I did try to go into detail, like hour by hour, similar like that, but I can't remember exactly, but like the buckets were enough sleep, waking up without an alarm, just like naturally, you know, like, cause I don't like being forced to wake up. So just find that sweet spot of like 8 hours or whatever, you know, get up. It wasn't nearly as diet related as yours was, obviously, but that I think is a huge thing that we can touch on here, because I think that's different for everybody. Everybody has their own experience with that. And then waking up and getting to work. I'm gonna have to edit my ideal day, because I didn't even think about like going outside, especially in the summertime. I love being outside. I love to try to work outside when I can, like, you know, even just like typing away on a computer or stuff like that, like any of the business administration stuff you have to do, whatever, creating, journaling, you know, documenting that stuff. But just in general, you know, thinking about the things that you love and trying to fit them into a day like that, I think is super, super important. And I don't think people realize that, you know, you kind of only get one life. And if you're not trying to strive to that ideal day, then what the hell are you doing? So I think to anybody listening, I think that you should I would highly encourage you, I think Liam the same, would be to think about that. Just give it some thought. Like tomorrow you wake up, you don't need to do anything. What are you going to do all day? And try to plan it out, and then try to move towards it. Or maybe if you ever get the opportunity, try it out and see if you like it. Have you ever been able to implement that? Like, how many times have you done that, like on free days that you have?
That ideal day?
Mm-hmm.
Many times.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had 2 summers in a row where I didn't have a formal occupation. The first summer was because I had just finished grad school and I decided to take some time off. And then the next summer I was unemployed due to the economic constrictions of COVID. Mm-hmm. So during those 2 summers, I was living that day almost on a daily basis.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's pretty dope. I hope that you get many more of those, like, moving forward. I think
that's the plan.
I think that you're on the right track. So that's pretty cool. Where should we go next here? I know we've talked about kind of like the fitness aspect of it. I would love personally to dive into the like kind of the business aspects of it, and like marketing and branding and things. I mean, we don't need to go super into the weeds, but it's always something that interests me, and I think a lot of people can get value from it. I know we chatted a little bit about it, but we don't need to reveal like secret details or anything like that, but just kind of like an idea. So let's say we're sitting down and we're having a discussion. Obviously, like, we are catching up here, but maybe like we're also trying to provide value to people that are in a similar situation. Maybe it's not fitness, maybe it's another industry, but they're thinking about starting something. Like, what are some of the things that you've had to go through? And I'll try to parlay, you know, my 2 cents onto it as well. Like, what are, like, you want to start a business? What are you kind of looking for? What are some of the things that you should learn? What are some of the, maybe the mistakes that you've made that you learned from, things like that?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the first big steps that I had to take was, what am I going to name my company? What am I going to name what I'm doing, my brand? So I came up with Carlin Fitness Systems because it was broad enough that I could expand into multiple fitness markets without having to change my name. If I just called it Carlin Personal Training, it's pretty obvious I only do one thing, personal training. And that's not what I intend to do.
Right.
So I came up with the name. From there, I got together with a graphic designer, a good close friend of mine. His name is Michael O'Nero. He's also a local tattoo artist.
I know Mike.
You know Mike? Good.
Yeah.
So he designed my logo for me. So I gave him some ideas of what I kind of had in mind. And, you know, he's an amazing artist, and he nailed it. Mm-hmm. So I had the business name, I had the logo. From there, I kind of needed to build up some content, especially with fitness. People want to see what you're doing. They want to see, like, does this guy work out? Is he in shape? Like, what kind of exercises does he do? Mm-hmm. So I hired local media team, Jordan Lee and Shane McFarland. They do photo and video. Two great guys to work with. They do outstanding work. Anyone listening, I highly suggest looking up them on the internet or on Instagram. Find them pretty easily. But they kind of came down to the gym with me, and I just had them record what I do on a daily basis. So essentially it was a promo video, but I didn't do anything different. It was just a normal workout for me. So I brought them down to the gym, worked out there for about 2 hours, and then we went outside to a local trail near a creek, and went for a bike ride and did another workout down there for about another hour. They mashed all the clips that they got up and put together like a promotional video. I used that as like the business launch. I posted that video, kind of explained what I was doing, that this is a formal business that I'm in now. So those were the main steps. And I'd like to point out that it was really cool to get together with other young entrepreneurs that were kind of in the same mindset as me.
Definitely.
Artists and photographers they're typically not working for the man.
Right.
So they understood what I was trying to do. And they were super helpful with helping me achieve, what I was trying to do entrepreneurially.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. I think that's a big part of it, and it's something that I've started to realize myself too. Is, there's this idea of a team that you kind of alluded to earlier, where maybe one day you'll have trainers that are a part of your umbrella, that your brand, and you can have all that. But there's also the idea of a network, and building like trusted professionals, like in your go-to guys in certain areas of the industry. So whether it's graphic design or film or CPA or lawyer or stuff like that, those are vital. And I would say once you start to put those pieces together, then you have an idea. It's like, okay, hey, I want to make a video, got to call this person. Hey, I need a new logo, got to call this person. Like that's I think that's a big thing to start to realize that you can try to do everything, and I think I'm guilty of that myself sometimes, and it does work. But at the same time, when you can start to offload some of those things, I think that's when you really take the next step, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna be able to have other people help me build, like into whatever the brand is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's definitely great advice. So as far as branding and everything goes, I know we talked a little bit about it. I actually have them here, your business cards that you were so gracious to bring by. Thank you so much. How did that kind of go? So we talked a little about like how it was designed and everything. And even if you want to run that by, so you kind of have like the two logos and a couple different things kind of going on. Maybe just a little bit of an insight as far as the branding and everything like that for the company.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, two different logos that were created for me by Michael O'Nero. One's a little more aggressive. It has kind of a skull in the shape of a kettlebell. Mm-hmm. It's very obvious that it's like, I'd say you look at that and you think hardcore fitness, which is good. That fits my personality, definitely fits my brand. But that could be possibly off-putting for some. Right. Some people want it, a little bit softer. Maybe they've never worked out before. Maybe they've never even been to a gym, and that could be intimidating to them. So my primary logo is the Celtic triquetra. So it is nice to have the two different logos, as we were discussing before. One is more professional, and the other one is more direct. So I try to use both of them strategically. And just to elaborate a little bit more into the branding, I was trying to launch, I'll call it a marketing blitz. So in terms of the gym that I train at, Wright's Gym in Crafton in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of people I know down there, a lot of friends of mine, and that's where I train my clients. So I wanted to kind of, spread the logo around. So I decided to create some apparel. So, and these are simple steps that really any entrepreneur can take. So I'll share step by step kind of how I went through that in terms of creating the apparel. So first thing was, what are the materials I'm going to use? So I wanted to get cheap clothes. I'm not trying to be a fashion designer or anything like that. I wanted, t-shirts for people to work out in. So cotton t-shirt, nothing special. In the internet age, it's pretty easy to find a wholesaler that's going to sell you t-shirts in bulk for very cheap. Right. So the wholesaler that I used was called Shirt Space online. So I made a bulk order of t-shirts, tank tops, and hoodies from them. Everything that I sourced was quite cheap, less than $10 per garment. From there, once I had all of the clothes lined up, I wanted to pick a vendor to do the screen printing. So what I did was I drafted an email that I was able to send out to about 15 different screen printers in the Pittsburgh area, telling them what I do, what I was interested in having them do for me, the types of clothes that I had purchased, and I wanted to, compare some rates, sent my logos around, got some ideas on how that would look, and so on. A large portion of the vendors got back to me and said that they weren't willing to do business with me because I had sourced my own clothes.
Wow.
So they put these screen printers put a huge markup on selling the clothes themselves. So they realized, that they were losing profit by having me come in and bring my own clothes. So they just weren't even willing to do business with me. I was surprised because, if they're screen printers, they should still be able to print on anything, no matter who provides the clothes. But right. I guess from a business end, they weren't willing to sacrifice those losses of not selling the clothes themselves. So right there, I cut it in half. So then, working with about 7 different screen printers in Pittsburgh, I started comparing pricing, seeing their lead times on how quickly they could get it done. And then basically I was also kind of vetting them for how well they were responding to me, kind of seeing how they were communicating with me. Is this going to be a good guy to do business with? Do they get back to me quickly? Stuff like that. So when it was all said and done, I ended up choosing a screen printer in Castle Shannon. It's called Sunburst Sportswear. The owner's name is Aaron, incredible guy, good employees working there, and they did a killer job. So for this original marketing blitz, I just bought some clothes off the internet, took them to a local screen printer, and once I had them printed, I had a photographer come in, a friend of mine, Jordan Lee, came in and just took some pictures of me in the gym wearing the clothes that I had printed. And all I did was post it on Facebook and Instagram saying, here's my brand. I'm launching, some apparel, kind of like a limited release type of thing. I probably only had, like 75 articles of clothing or so that I was selling, nothing crazy. And I sold out in about 2.5, 3 hours. Wow. So, and this was just people messaging me on Facebook and Instagram saying, I want a large hoodie, this and that. And, I would just, as the messages would come in, I would just chart them, write it down, who wanted what, whether or not they paid, whether or not they picked it up, so on. Just kind of kept track of all the orders, packed them up and got them out of there. After this, it's probably within the next week or so, I go into the gym. It's like 4 or 5 people, in an enormous gym, 4 or 5 people wearing my shirt. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm wearing something with my name on it. Yeah. And then it got more and more popular, and the people who weren't able to get an order in time were actually upset with me. like I had failed them, let them down. They're like, what the hell, Liam? Seriously, you couldn't save me a hoodie? And there were dozens of people that were upset that I didn't have clothes for them. So that led me to putting in a bunch bigger order the next time. Same strategy, just posted it on Facebook and Instagram, and it blew up. In about 2 or 3 days, I had sold out of that stock. So currently, those shirts are at the screen printer right now, and I've kind of refined my shipping process. So the first time, it was just, come pick it up from my house, or I'll come drop it off to you. Yeah. Nothing crazy. Yeah. This time around, I will be shipping them. So probably, they're getting shipped out to like 10 different states. Wow. Either people who are following me in terms of my fitness journey, or friends of mine who knew me from college or whatever, and then had moved on to other jobs in different states, wanted to support. So this time I will be shipping out, and I sourced all of my own shipping materials, and I'm going to be using a company called Pirate Ship. I'm just able to print the pretty good pun there, right? I'm able to just print the shipping label out and slap it on the bag and get it going that way for very low rates. So the apparel sales is definitely something that I wasn't even trying to. Yeah. I'm not trying to move clothes here. I want to get people fit. Yeah. But it seems like it's a in-demand type of thing. So definitely. But in terms of the marketing blitz, so back to the branding. Yeah. having people in the area, especially people who are going to the gym, wear something with my name on it is huge.
Yeah.
So if let's say I budget for $3,000 that I'm going to spend on apparel. Let's say I'm not even selling it. Maybe I just give it away. I give it all away. $3,000. Everyone in the area, I give them a T-shirt. If I can get one person to just say, "Oh, what does that logo mean? Who is Carlin? What is this?" And all I have to say is, this is my friend Liam. He's a personal trainer. You should contact him. If I can sign one person up, in the personal training world, one person in a year could bring me anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. So if I drop $3,000 on shirts and I don't make any profit on them, give them all away, and I get one person to sign up, I made money on that. And the odds are it's going to be more than one person that signs up. Definitely. So in terms of local marketing, that's been huge, the apparel.
Yeah, that's terrific insight. I appreciate that, because you really did a great job at breaking that down, because it really is that simple nowadays. I mean, like I say simple, it's a lot of work, but as far as like the hurdles that people had to go through in the past, of trying to actually figure out how to do all that stuff, you sourced it all online, you found local people, you shot some emails out there, and you did it. It's a lot of work, but the actual process isn't like magic or anything like that, which is awesome. And I think hopefully very motivating for potential entrepreneurs out there that want to do something similar. And it's really, really interesting. And I've noticed this a little bit myself, is like when you're going one way, right? And it's like, okay, I'm trying to get fitness clients. Like I'm trying to get people to train like for the company. Then you go off this other way where it's like marketing, and I'm sure you've drawn somewhat of a profit from that, because you're selling clothes that that's kind of like another division of your business empire here that you didn't, like you said, you didn't realize was going to be something that was maybe this early, but it's already something that seems to be kind of working for itself and has ancillary benefits of, like you said, the actual marketing portion of it.
Right.
Which I don't know. That's awesome. I'm interested to see. Do you have any plans, like as far as timeline? Again, you don't need to reveal the entire secrets of the timeline, but you mentioned things like supplements and other things like that. Like when you think about it, how do you kind of envision it going? Like, because the apparel has already started to blossom a little bit, right? I would say. So as you move forward, I imagine you have like a hub for your fitness, like the whole brand in general. But you have these different spokes of the business, right? You have training, you have the apparel. When do you think you'll start to layer in the other things? That's a big question, because like obviously it might not be on the radar just yet. But like, what do you think are some indicators, and when do you think have you started to look into it at all to see like how you would implement that sort of stuff?
So I've just dipped my toes in the water, but I will say that it's going to be happening sooner rather than later. So for example, with the apparel, once I can grow that to the point where, and again, there's steps I need to take in the meantime, such as creating a popular website that will allow people to purchase the apparel directly from there. Yeah. But I actually want to try to remove myself from the equation in terms of what work is being done. I want somebody to be able to go on my website, pick what article of clothing they want. Let's say they're getting a hoodie. Pick what logo they want, pick what color they want, and then process payment. That order, I want that directly to go to the printer. They'll print it, they'll ship it. I don't do anything. I already did everything.
Right.
So once it can get to that point, then I'll be able to start focusing on other things. So I don't have a supplement line yet, but I intend to. So it would be the same thing. I'd have to contact vendors and suppliers to see where I could get different ingredients from. Then I'd have to find a company that would be willing to package it for me with my brand on it. And then from there, I need a platform to sell it. So whether it's just on my website, in local stores, I'd have to launch different marketing campaigns to kind of generate some demand for that. But like we said, these things kind of blossom or blow up quicker than expected. So timeline of when I'm going to do that, I'd like to say within the next 2 years. Hopefully it's sooner. Maybe it's within the next 6 months.
Nice. There you go. I think one of the big things that I love, that I really enjoyed kind of talking about there, and we mentioned it a little bit already. Would you be interested in chatting more about like that whole thing? Like if we took that a step further, right? And there's pieces of that. You've already got what I would call maybe a little bit of the logistics kind of worked out for some of those things. When you skip over to the technical side and you've talked about like the website and everything, do you want to hit some ideas right now? You want me to see if I can help you with that?
Yeah,
Just
definitely. Bounce some ideas off me.
Maybe it'll help people out there as well. Just I think this is like this think tank is kind of a good concept. That I don't know how many times we've tried before, but I think it's a good idea. Okay, so let's have a conversation about this. So here's what I see for you. I think actually, and you've given me this idea because we did talk about this beforehand a little bit. So with my background in like the website design and kind of like the branding of these different things, the one thing that I have started to really like value over almost anything is cohesion and consistency. So what I mean is we talked about the logo already, right? And I mentioned earlier that maybe like one main logo and then like other designs and other things that could be like alternatives and stuff like that. But when people think of Carlin Fitness Systems, they think of one specific thing, right? Maybe the thing on your chest right now, right? So if that is the case, then I have this idea as far as branding goes that everything needs to be kind of like just similar. And when they see the logo and they see the name, they automatically associate the two, and they associate it with the industry, and ultimately they probably associate it with you, right? So all that being said, if you could build a website, for instance, like the hub of everything that you do, that is e-commerce, that has, you know, the shirts and everything like that, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But also, I don't know if you've thought about this yet, because we haven't talked about what you're doing yet on the training side of it. Do you have how do you manage your clients right now? You don't need to go super in depth, but if you want to, how do you manage your clients right now? You could even, I'm envisioning if I was in your shoes, I might even want something that's like an online platform where they can see, you know, like they have their own profile, they can see different things. I'm not 100%, I'm not in it enough. So like, what are there things that you track? Like obviously they would have their programs in there. Like, are there other like benchmarks and like maybe PRs and things like that you could have associated with that? Because I think that'd be fucking sick to have all of that. Maybe one day on an app, but at least for the start, like on a website where you could do all of that in there. And then it's when I say cohesive, I mean like think of Amazon. When you do anything through Amazon, it's always Amazon. Like you're seeing, you know, the website on it. You're seeing all of the listings and everything like that, your orders, and every piece that has Amazon on it is like a very like closed system. Same thing with Apple. They do it a very, very good job at that. So when I'm building these smaller little things, these smaller little brands, I try to do the same type of thing. So that's just kind of like, you know, my mini consultation, if you will, or my mini idea thing there for you and anybody listening is with that in mind. If you think about it like that, like if you restructure it to like that is your mothership, if you will, your website, what are some more things that you could maybe like add on to make it even cooler in a sense and more, you know, like all around like the spot for Carlin Fitness Systems?
Yeah, I really like that idea about having like a client profile, and I definitely track metrics such as, you know, body weight change. Yeah. You know, what weights they were doing on certain exercises, what exercises they have performed, maybe some exercises that they can't perform due to, you know, injury limitations or things like that. There's a ton of data and information that I record on each client. So if I were able to put that into a profile that they could access, then I think that would be super valuable for the client because they can see, you know, it could even be, you know, pictures of them and the progress that they've made and things like that, and just more ways to kind of quantify the progress that they've made through the programs that I'm putting them through.
Definitely, because here's what I'm thinking is there's a few ways that you could do this. I'm thinking from more of the technical side, right? Obviously, and like in the business aspect and how it all you know comes together. There's a couple ways that you could do this. Let's say that your goal was to give John Doe a way to see the things that you see, right? The metrics and everything that you track, right? So right now, what do you have, like a Google spreadsheet type of thing, effectively? So you could give them access to that Google spreadsheet. That's probably the easiest, right? Works, but maybe they don't use Google. Like maybe they never use Google spreadsheet. Maybe they use Excel. Maybe they, don't have a Google account. Maybe they, just all sorts of weirdness there that you have to, hoops that you have to jump through, or just on that end. Then the next thing is, okay, well, maybe you can find, which is very, very likely, maybe you can find an app that you as a trainer can sign up for in some sort of like membership program. And you have admin access and you can play with things, but then then you can send out, I think Knees Over Toes actually does this. They partner with it, and then you can shoot it out to your client. And maybe you've done this before, and then they have access to like their profile and like to play around with things and see metrics and workouts and all that. That's another option. I think the pinnacle is when you can bring all of that under like a one roof type of thing. So this might be like really overlooked, and maybe I'm like super into the weeds on some of this shit just because of the way that my mind works. But like, I really think that when you send somebody to like, I think, let's use the Knees Over Toes one because that's the only one I know. It's like they have something, and then they partner with it. It's like, I think it's True Coach. Have you heard of that one or something? It's like an app or whatever. But then they partner with that, and then it works, but it's not like a totally cohesive thing. So I just feel like when you're building a brand, like how dope it would be for them to go like to carlinfitnesssystems.com and do everything right there. Again, the whole app thing is kind of like a separate thing, so maybe that's a different concern if that's a big deal. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like those types of things. But I think these are types of the decisions that you have to make as a founder of a company that's scaling. That it's like, well, where do you like? How do you navigate these types of things? Where are your bigger visions so you don't have to? There's always going to be mistakes and like things that like quote unquote like you learn from, or could potentially waste time and then have to kind of like reroute. But those are the types of things that, I don't know. I try to think about in the forefront and then make, I don't know, the best educated decision on. So I don't know if any of that made sense.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah.
So another point that I want to get into, and I was looking at your website before I came over.
Yeah.
And I really like that you have a breakdown of the gear that you have in terms of your tech.
Yeah.
And I would like to do something similar on the website that I'm building, where I give a breakdown of what do I recommend for supplements? What pre-workout do I use?
Yeah.
What protein powder do I use? What vitamins do I take?
Yeah.
Things like that. So I saw that on yours, and I was immediately inspired to kind of bring that in.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the main page of my website, I'll maybe have like a video or some pictures and kind of like a brief description of what I do, and then the tabs would be something like workouts.
Yeah.
And I would do, click that, and I'll give you an example of new, creative, innovative workouts you can do. From there, maybe there's a tab for nutrition recommendations. From there, maybe there's another tab with apparel. Hopefully at some point there'd be another tab with maybe my own supplement line.
Yeah.
Things like that. So maybe, just based off of our conversation, do you have any recommendations or of some other things that I should put on my website?
First thing that I would say is that when you saw I appreciate the compliment on the gear thing, but there's so many people that do that, and what you may or may not realize when you throw up, depending on how you do it, right? But let's say you have a page like currently on your website, or you make one that says my preferred supplements, or my preferred, like you could even do it with fitness gear. Like if you have like a preferred foam roller, like you could do that. The thing that you're actually doing there, even though you may not realize it, if you do it properly, you're actually creating another stream of revenue, because you can leverage what's called affiliate marketing. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but like you can go on Amazon, and I will show you how to do this if you want. Like, and anybody just look up like Amazon Associates. So you can go on to Amazon, you sign up for this account, and then you basically get a special link. You go to like your foam roller, for instance, right? You copy a special link, and then anytime somebody clicks on that link and goes to that product on Amazon for a certain amount of time, certain restrictions or whatever, if they purchase anything, you get a commission. So it's kind of cool. It's small, but it's something. So it's like an idea of you're marketing other people's stuff, and it's not just with Amazon. It's anybody. Like, I mean, you could even get affiliate deals with current supplements that you use probably. So just an idea. But as far as like other things that might be valuable, I would say definitely some form of like affiliate marketing until you can actually make the product. That would be cool. The apparel is huge, and I definitely wanted to talk a little bit more about that because that's something that I've been experimenting with as well. And depending on the suppliers and like the manufacturers and like the printers and everything that you use, they might have different, levels of, varying. Like, so you sourced your own clothing and then you went there. Like, there's this concept of like print on demand that is getting kind of bigger now, where you can just like have a design and you actually don't hold any inventory. So then you go onto the site and like people can pick whatever design they want, like maybe like a pre-built design, maybe you have like 10 of them or whatever. They click one, they buy it, and then it gets printed and shipped directly to them. There are vendors out there that do that. There's like websites and stuff like that. Printful is one of them that I'm familiar with. But again, though, that's a tough part because you're mostly, like you said, you're limited to the amount of and the types of clothing that they have, which can vary. So it really depends on what you're trying to do there. But I really like what you've done so far, specifically with the apparel, because it seems like quality stuff, and you've done, you've gotten to the point where you need to be. It's refining the process, so you don't have to do as much work.
Right. What size shirt do you wear, by the way?
Medium.
I'll be hooking you up. Don't worry.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. But yeah, so there's that. And I think you already do a good job at this, but I would definitely recommend putting like the utmost level of like authenticity and genuineness, because people love to hear a story and people love to hear like how you've documented this stuff. I'm probably guilty of not having enough actual content on the websites themselves, but like if you do it through social media, that's obviously huge. But if you can do it on a website too, where you can have like an about page or like your story, your motivation, your inspiration for doing these things, basically the stuff that we've talked about, and you put that into a format that they can consume, whether it's text or like a video, I think that would be awesome. Because you got to think about like the people that come to a website, right? There's some people that come there, it's like, oh, cool shirt, let me buy it. There's other people like, what is this? Like, why is he doing this? And those are the types of people that you're going to really like they're going to grasp onto your shit when they read something like, I tore my ACL 3 times in high school, and this was really shitty. And I was like, why is this happening to me? And then you went on this journey, and all these things have happened, and now this is where you're at. And especially when you tie in those life events, because at the end of the day, we're all just people. And that's one of the things that I have, started to realize, is that people just enjoy hearing other people's stories, much like we kind of do here. So that's another huge one. And I don't know, man. I'm really fixated now. I get in these weird things where like this whole idea of like building something that has definitely been done before, but doing it in your own way. So like that whole client portal thing, I think that would be absolutely dope if you can do that. Either you contract through an app or another place, or you just build it directly into the website. Again, might have its limitations here and there, but as far as like setting up the way that you could do that, I think that would be awesome. I think that'd be a huge value proposition too. Can you imagine like telling your clients like, oh yeah, you could just go in here, see all your shit? Like, yeah. That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Do you think long term, I mean, I guess this was in your branding decision, like everything is going to be Carlin Fitness Systems? Like everything, like that's the whole brand, and that is going to literally be, that's going to be apparel, the training, supplements. Did you say other ones? Like an actual gym at some point. So when you get to that point, even you could have it all under one roof, and you could have sign up. You could have support. So you could have like any sort of like a big knowledge base on, like, obviously that would cover a lot of things. That would cover like we're literally just going over the whole website here. I love it. That could cover all of the apparel, like questions and things like that. That could cover anything about like how to sign up, membership, all that sort of stuff. You could even, you could potentially tie that all in, like even like under one profile thing too. That's an option. That would also, I don't know if I'm not familiar with what Rights has, but like me, like actually go next door to Planet Fitness occasionally, not too often, but I know that they have like everything online, right? As like an example. So you could have that, down the line, like 2 to 5 years or whenever, when you have a gym, you could have all of that tied in, so this is, I know we talked about this like before we went live, and now we're going kind of into the weeds on it, but I think it's important is, this is all specific to you and your business, but no matter who is listening and who has this idea, this is kind of why it's important to think ahead, because I find that if sometimes you get into a project and it's like, oh shit, I want to do this, but now it's going to be really hard. You might not know, and it just might happen, But like if you get into a project like that, and it's like shit, you now I want to do something different or something bigger. I kind of have to refactor the whole thing to get to where I want to. It might be like really, you could still get it done, but it might be a little bit of like demotivation because now or just like a little bit of a setback in a way, right? So I don't know, just kind of an idea, but you can't really tell the future. It's just again something to think about. But was there any other like big things, like big like divisions that we were talking about?
I think those are the main divisions, and I'll say that in the immediate future, the main thing that I'll be focusing on is the one-on-one personal training.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be where I can have the most impact on somebody's life. For example, some of my clients, have come to me. They're out of shape. They're having health issues. I can't work out because I've had shoulder surgeries and knee surgeries, and I'm getting older. I haven't been eating clean, and I'm kind of like resculpting their entire lifestyle by working with them. I'm coaching them on how to eat better, how do you eat better? You prepare your food in advance, how to meal prep, things like that. How much water should you be drinking in a day? And then in terms of the training that they're doing, how can you structure a workout? How can you build your own workout? What if I'm not here to work out with you and you just come to the gym by yourself? What are you going to know how to do? So it's real. The training that I'm giving them is really comprehensive. It's not just like, oh yeah, come to the gym with me. We'll work out. And, you'll be exhausted, and that's it. I'm really trying to teach them as much as possible throughout the whole process. So recently I've had some clients that have lost like 30 plus pounds. It's huge. They're changing their life completely. They feel better. They have more mental energy. They're doing things like maybe they're going for a walk with their wife more often or something like that they weren't able to do before. So it's just enriching their life all around. So that is where my focus is primarily, just because that is going to have the biggest impact. Once I can get more clients and impact more people, it's just going to grow and grow from there. So I want to tap into all those other markets, but if I'm too aggressive and I'm worried about all these different things, then the experience that my individual clients are getting may be diluted. So I'm going to make sure that won't happen. That the workouts and the training systems that I am providing to my clients is of top notch, and it's going to be my main priority.
It's certainly a balance. Yeah, definitely. Like looking into the future, focusing on the now, learning from the past. It's definitely a balancing act. One random question is: do you own the domain name yet?
I do not.
Are you going to get that?
Yeah,
We should do that.
I got to get on that.
We should do that. We should do that, like literally right after this.
Right.
But yeah, that's the important thing. Just because like that type of thing is, there's certain things about it that like aren't really time sensitive, and then there's other ones where it's like, well, maybe one could pop up, the next day and like steal it. It's unlikely, but like, just like maybe people are watching your stuff and they're like, I'm gonna go get that, so he can't have it, type of shit. But it's okay. We're gonna take care of that before this even goes live. Sorry,
that'll be done today. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. So I think that's awesome, man. I think that I enjoy having those conversations. Hopefully, we didn't bore too many people with like the details and everything. But I really do think it's an important conversation, because when you're building a brand, the website is, I think it's an important thing, but it just goes to more things, right? Like your social media is an extension of the feel of the brand that's established on the entity that is the actual thing, right? I mean, we think about the internet nowadays, and until you have like a physical location too, that'll be another extension of it. But until you have something like that, it's really just you, and then like wherever you're at, and then the digital, right? So I think that is a pretty cool thing. But yeah, what else should we talk about? I know we had a couple more topics.
So I definitely want to get into diet and nutrition a little bit more.
Definitely.
But right before we leave this topic, I want to say, in terms of like branding and marketing, a project that I'll be working on in the next couple of weeks that's pretty exciting is, so once these clothes come in from the screen printer, I am going to have a photo shoot. I'll have a photographer come down to the gym. me training my clients.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the pictures that I have on like my Instagram and things like that are pictures of myself, which is fine for now.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to show other people that I am working with clients and that they are happy with the service I'm providing them. So
Definitely social proof.
right. So I'll have the photographer come down. It'll just be a normal workout for me and the client, but they'll be wearing my apparel. I'll be wearing the apparel, and from there I will create like a client testimonial.
Mm-hmm.
So a picture of me training a client and a caption of the client reviewing my services.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna release these periodically. I'll use it as marketing material for hopefully a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
and then that'll be a key portion of the website as well. I'll have a tab for client testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
For things like personal training, people really want to hear somebody else's experience who has done this.
Definitely.
So I feel like that will definitely help me generate some business and create a little more credibility or authenticity to what I'm actually doing.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. I think that social proof is another thing that I was just kind of like thinking about a concept of like a website thing for a couple other projects. And it's like even just like a landing page, right? So not like a home page, but like on a website or just like anywhere online where, we've all seen it where it's like says sign up here. And like that's a very important part of it because like you said, people need to understand how to sign up for certain things, obviously, and get that kind of thing started. But before they even like the one of the I think the driving steps to get people to take action is seeing what others have experienced, whether it's training or whether it's a product or whatever it is. I think that's a great idea. Where would you say you got most of this marketing knowledge? Do you think it was in your collegiate years, or do you think it was in just like kind of learning and seeing and just experiencing other people's and other brands and stuff like that? Or what do you think?
I'm going to say a combination of both. So,
Mm-hmm.
definitely having a master's degree in business is helping me because of the things that I learned while I was in school. I kind of have like a fundamental knowledge of most areas of business.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of it has also been, seeing people in the industry who are doing well, kind of the tactics that they're using. Like, what are the successful methods? The people who are like really killing it in personal training and fitness, what are those people doing?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that. And then I've had mentor sessions with, either business professionals or, fitness professionals who have kind of coached me on, here are some things that worked, here are some things that didn't work, and just creating, the basis from that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a really, really important question. When are you going to start a vlog and or a podcast?
I'd say that is a plan. So I'd say within 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want the podcast setting to be me and other personal trainers who are in my position. So people who work for themselves, who are in the fitness industry, and then we can kind of have a roundtable discussion. I'd like, a couple different people there at once to kind of bounce ideas off each other. Hey, what's working? Here's a new exercise I learned. Here's a struggle that one of my clients had that we had to overcome. Things like that, just so we can kind of share ideas, and then we're all on the same page in terms of like the entrepreneurial spirit that it takes to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So time frame on that, I'd say within 6 months, and I'll definitely be coming to you for some advice on how to get it going.
Yeah, I know for sure, man. I would love to consult on that because that's it is something that I'm trying to do here. And I was gonna also say, so one, that's another tab on the website there, obviously. But the other thing is the vlog thing. I want to hit on that for a second because the term vlog, I think, is probably at this point maybe overused and slightly, I don't want to say it's like outdated by any means, but it's something that had a lot. I just think of the fitness industry specifically on YouTube, right? And we've talked about some of the people, like Max Tuning's, Christian Guzman's, like people that have inspired people that have showed their entire journey. And while I think YouTube has matured a lot since that has really started and there's like fitness content and everything like that, I still think people really enjoy a good story. And I still think that providing that sort of content, now you can only do so many things, obviously, right? But just like documenting the actual progress and the journey, it doesn't have to be on YouTube, but just in general, I really think that is like a hallmark of getting more traction and more people to really, like feel some sort of emotional tie to your brand, right? when people bought your clothes and put them on, it's because like they know you, they like you, they trust you. Maybe is one way to put it. But like they actually they're supportive, but they also want to. I think they want to be a part. You know what I'm saying? Like so maybe like even there's another random idea for it. Like maybe like a community type thing. Maybe not necessarily just people that are you're training, but maybe some other sort of way where like you can get people to become a part of a community and have some sort of a thing where they can benefit from being a part of the group, but not necessarily one-on-one is maybe another idea. Again, just a random one. I'm not exactly sure how to work it and how to implement it, but I don't know, man. I just think people really, really love to be a part of shit, you know,
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
the whole journey and everything like that. So I don't know, but a lot of talk there on the branding and everything like that. Let's dive back into the diet and nutrition because I know that is something that is very well in your wheelhouse and not in my wheelhouse. And I think the first thing we have to start with is the fact that I think a lot of it ties back to upbringing and the setting that you were raised in and a lot of that because I know for myself I've had to unlearn some bad habits just from like being in a household that's like food is yummy rather than food is fuel. And I think that is not always bad, but it just takes more to get kind of like over and kind of like
Right.
unlearn those type of things.
Right.
So what's kind of your perspective?
So, diet is something that I've had to learn and unlearn throughout periods of my life as well. So, back when I was playing football and in high school, the policy was to eat as much food as possible and be as heavy as I could be. Increased mass is definitely effective on the football field, but it's not necessarily the best approach if you're trying to be as healthy as possible. So that is something that I had to coach myself out of. You see, I'm not the biggest guy in the room, but I could definitely eat like the biggest guy in the room if I wanted to. So that is a big thing that kind of throughout my college years, I started chiseling away at my dietary discipline in terms of the volume that I was eating. And then for the most part, I had good fundamentals and principles from my upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always ate fairly healthy. I thank my parents on that one. I've always eaten vegetables my whole life. Where some kids are like, "Ooh, that's disgusting." I would never eat a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
I've been eating vegetables with no problem for as long as I've been around. So in terms of my diet and what I would recommend for others, now a lot of people will just stick to the basic rule of if you're trying to lose weight, you need to eat less calories and burn more calories. They're fixated on calories. And, if you're just looking at it, from that scientific equation, eat less, burn more, then yeah, that makes sense, right? But if you're abiding by that policy, then that means that you could eat, 2 slices of pizza a day and that's it. But that wouldn't be good for you. You're missing out on all the micronutrients that help improve the function of the body. So if I could get in a little bit greater detail on what I mean by micronutrients. So you look at a meal, say you're eating, I'll use the example, some salmon, rice, asparagus, and that's your meal. So that is a pretty good, well-rounded meal because the micronutrients are well-rounded. I try to do something called eating across the color spectrum. So every meal that I have, I want there to be multiple different colors involved. Each food that's a different color has different micronutrients in it, and that's what gives the foods their color. So the nutrients that are in blueberries are completely different than the nutrients that are in carrots, for example. 2 completely different colors, blue and orange. So if you can start by structuring your meal by thinking, you want a wide variety of color in it. And the more colorful a food is, typically the more nutrient dense it is. Look at white rice, for example. There's hardly any nutrients in that. I'd say the counterpart would be sweet potato. It's still a carb source, but it's nutrient dense. Mm-hmm. So, like what do I eat on a daily basis, or what do I recommend people eat on a daily basis? So I don't pay attention to calories too much. And again, there's fitness people that are going to disagree and say, no, you need to be teaching people that they need to burn more calories than they're taking in, and that's how they lose weight. And face value, yeah, that makes sense. But there's so many deeper layers of detail that they need to get into to be eating a well-rounded diet. So here's some rules that I follow. I cook my own food. The only way I know that what I'm eating is healthy is if I prepared it myself. I don't know how they're preparing food at restaurants. I don't know what oils they're cooking it in. I don't know what spices or seasonings they're using. I don't know the sustainability of the food that they're sourcing. If I am the one cooking my own food, then I have the control. I know exactly what's going into my body. So that is a good rule. Cook your own food. For me, I find it very rewarding because, like I said, I find cooking to be like a meditation for me. And then it's an enjoyable process. You prepare the meal, then the whole time you're cooking it, you're kind of excited. How's this going to taste? How is this going to turn out? And then you get to eat something that you created is more enjoyable than ordering takeout for me. So rule 1, eat food that you cooked. Rule 2, vegetables at every meal. Vegetables tend to have the most nutrients. So there is macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fats. Micronutrients are all of the deeper vitamins and minerals that food contains. So in terms of macronutrients, there are specific ratios that you could look up on, should I be eating more protein? Should I be eating more carbs, more fats? I think it's something in the range of, what would it be? 45% carbohydrates, 35% protein, 20% fats. I could be wrong, but it's something in that ballpark. So most of your meal should be carbs, and then protein, and then fats. So in terms of carbs, proteins, and fats, once you have it broken down there, what are good carbs to eat? So rice would be a safe carb to eat. Sweet potato would be a safe carb to eat. Fruits would be a safe carb to eat. I wouldn't allow for any bread, any pasta, anything like that, because that is going to spike your blood sugar, and then it's going to be catastrophic from there. Once your blood sugar spikes, your body's releasing insulin to combat it, and then your body's waging a war inside of itself, and you want to avoid spiking your blood sugar. Okay, so those would be my carbohydrate recommendations. In terms of protein, lean, well-sourced meats. So well-sourced meaning, what farm did they come from? What are the practices of that farm? Is it factory farmed? Was it wild caught? Is it grass-fed? Those considerations. So once you choose a good meat, I'd recommend things like fish and seafood. I eat some type of seafood every single day. From there, I'd say turkey is very good, white meat, chicken as well. And again, we're still looking at quality here. If you're getting a bag of frozen Tyson chicken, you're not doing your body a favor. And then I do eat red meat. So people go back and forth on this, on whether or not red meat is good, safe to eat. Personally, I eat red meat, and I don't have a problem with it. Longer term, as you get older, it's something that you may want to consider in terms of heart health. But for myself, a 25-year-old who's working out every day, red meat is fine. And if anything, I need that red meat because it's so protein dense. From there, in terms of fats, so good quality cooking oils such as avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil. Those are all things that I cook with on a regular basis. And that's kind of how I establish a good meal. So the things that we're looking at, color spectrum, proteins, carbs, and fats. And then I'll place a big emphasis on eating vegetables because most people kind of neglect that. So a good rule of thumb, vegetables with every meal. Everything you eat needs to have vegetables on the plate no matter what. So even something like breakfast, like, I don't want to eat vegetables for breakfast. I just want to eat an egg on an English muffin or something like that. Nope. Work the vegetables in there. Yeah. So like I said, like an ideal day for me is going to have like a veggie omelet. So no matter what, get it in there. Nutrition before a workout, a piece of fruit, it's so simple, and that's going to be extremely good for you. So that is going to raise your blood sugar. Before I said that's something you want to avoid. It's going to do it minimally and in a way that it will be helpful for your workout. So I like to either eat an apple, a banana, or an orange about 45 minutes to an hour before I work out, and that'll kind of give me the energy to sustain me through that workout. In terms of post-workout nutrition, it's going to be protein heavy. So I'll usually have a big cut of fish, chicken breast, something like that, lots of vegetables. And then I'll also get some carbs in post-workout. So now would be a good time for like sweet potatoes or rice or something like that. Again, everything that I cook is in those healthy fats that I mentioned before: olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, stuff like that. In terms of how many meals per day you want to eat, the research on this is different day by day. So sometimes you'll read, people eat one meal a day. They just eat one huge meal and they're fasting for the rest of the day. That might work for them. I've done that before and I've felt fine. And sometimes that's all your schedule may permit. You just want to make sure that you're eating enough for that meal to fuel yourself for the whole day. Then you get other people who are more adamant about eating multiple meals a day. So these are the people that will say eat 6 to 8 meals a day. You should be eating food every 2 to 3 hours. And I've tried that as well. Depending on what your fitness goals are, that would be good if you're trying to gain weight and build muscle mass. Not everyone who works out is trying to gain weight and build muscle mass. So that isn't a good rule of thumb for everyone to follow. Only people with specific goals should follow the 6 to 8 meals a day. Me personally, I eat, the standard 3 meals a day. I eat a breakfast, I eat lunch, and I eat dinner. In between, a snack would be something like a piece of fruit before my workout, and that's about it. Maybe I'll have a protein shake in there, but I don't really snack too much, and I don't think that snacking is the best thing for the body. It's good to have no food for a period of time. This will help your digestion, and this will kind of clean out your system. So you don't want to always be shoveling food, thinking, oh, I need this fuel. No, that's okay. You can let your body go without fuel for a little bit, and it'll probably have some sort of productive benefit, like increased metabolism. So I gave you a lot of information there. Do you have any specific questions about anything that I brought up nutrition-wise?
I have a bunch, actually. So the first one is, do you not ever go out to a restaurant then?
So I do occasionally, and when I say occasionally, less than 4 times a month. So maybe once a week, but very rarely.
And when you do, where?
So, okay, I'll admit, a place that I've been eating at a lot lately is Aladdin's, Middle Eastern restaurant.
Okay.
Have you ever eaten there?
I've heard of it, yeah. I haven't eaten there, though.
So the things that they serve are definitely fitting into the micronutrients that I suggested. I'll get something with rice, hummus, chicken, salad, lots of vegetables. So eating out at a place like that, probably not the worst thing for me. I just try not to make a habit of it.
Gotcha. And so like you're obviously, like you said, you're cooking all of your own food. You're trying to get vegetables into every meal. So another question that I had was like, you're obviously, not only are you, very, very well learned on the like the actual fitness side of it, but also on the nutrition side of it. Do you now, or do you plan to in the future offer like nutrition plans as well, like as a supplement, or even like a workout nutrition type thing where it's like one product in a sense, in a way, like through Carlin Fitness Systems?
So that's an interesting topic, and there are a lot of people in the fitness industry that do that, and a lot of the times they are doing that, I don't want to say illegally, but improperly, because you're actually not supposed to provide anybody with I'll call it a diet plan or a nutrition plan, unless you are a registered dietitian, meaning you went to school for the 5 or 6 years and you have the appropriate degree from an accredited school, and you're certified to provide that kind of service.
Right.
And here's why. You get people who might know a lot about fitness. For example, maybe you got some big bodybuilder, and he's, people want to be big and muscular like him, so he starts giving out nutrition plans. And he prescribes a nutrition plan to somebody who may have underlying health conditions, and he's telling them what to eat, and he doesn't really know their full medical history, and he's not qualified to give somebody a specific diet plan. That person gets sick, malnourished, and dies. Okay? So when I was getting my personal training certification, they really laid it on very thick that you're not allowed to do this. So what I can do is give people recommendations. So I can say, I can't tell somebody, hey, you need to eat, this amount of eggs at this time, like a very specific, do
Right.
this. I could explain to them what I kind of just ran through with you. I can teach them the basics of what macronutrients are, what ratios you want to eat them in, meal timing, stuff like that. I can just give suggestions without giving them a stringent plan. Now, eventually I could give them a more thorough plan if I achieved those certifications.
Right.
So that's something I would look into because nutrition has always fascinated me. So not just because I want to sell it to my clients, sell some nutrition program to my clients. It would be just because I'm thirsty for the knowledge that I would go and get that certification to provide that level of service.
Right. Yeah, I liken that to like somebody like myself giving financial like recommendations as opposed to advice. Like you always, if you ever watch finance videos, it's always like, I am not a certified financial advisor. This is not advice. This is just kind of my, my story or just like for entertainment purposes. So I kind of see that the same thing. Like you could have a part of it that says like the website or whatever, or just like a part of your content base. It could be those recommendations, but it's just like very blanketed and not too specific thing. I think that's another thing that would just increase credibility because like not only can you teach people how to do well in the gym, but also like in the kitchen per se, because those are great. Those are great tips. Interesting. Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people need the most help.
Certainly.
People know how to get moving and get the heart rate up and exercise. It could be as simple as taking a walk. It's not like some masterful code that you have to crack. But it's the nutrition that they're confused on.
Yeah.
They don't know what's healthy. They're bombarded by fast food advertisements. In the grocery store, you got all these frozen foods with preservatives. Those are the convenient things to buy. So people are set up to fail in terms of eating properly.
Let's walk through this. So we talked about what you actually eat and like what you actually prepare. But let's go back at least one step and say, where do you source some of this stuff? I mean, you can give specific places, but like in general, like even people that aren't around Pittsburgh, where are you trying to find good actual like foods? Like I feel like sometimes people just like even on the shelf, for instance, like they pick like the cheapest thing, which maybe isn't the best quality. So like how do you actually source it?
Okay, so usually when I grocery shop, I'm getting produce first. I'll grocery shop at stores such as Giant Eagle Market District, Aldi's. Let's go to Fresh Time Market, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. Those are all good places that carry very good, healthy options. So when I go to a store, I'll get produce first. Then I kind of work my way around the store, and I'll move over. I'll get some well-sourced meats. So when I go for a cut of meat, I'll kind of look and see, like where did it come from? What company did it come from? Does that company have sustainable farming practices? Is the cow that I'm eating, was it grass fed? The fish that I'm eating, was it caught wildly or raised in a fish farm? Making those considerations. So I got my produce, I got my meats. From there, I'm getting the other, things that would be more like down the aisle shopping. Grab some olive oil, stuff like that. Things like that are a little more straightforward.
Yeah.
If you get extra virgin olive oil, it's probably it's pretty safe for the most part. So from, I guess, things to avoid in the grocery store. I don't buy anything frozen. If I'm gonna buy like meat or something like that and throw it in the freezer myself, that's different. But I don't buy any like pre-made meals that are frozen. Usually a frozen meal like that is going to have reduced nutrition quality because it's been in a freezer for so long. And also there's going to be additives to keep it fresh for longer, preservatives. So those are things that I definitely try to avoid. Gotcha. I try to avoid things that have any type of artificial flavor, artificial color, any type of food dye or anything like that. That's just unnatural for humans to eat, Aside from that, we forgot to cover liquids. So I only drink water and coffee. I don't drink any type of soda, Gatorade, soft drink, anything like that. Sometimes I'll mix amino acids into my water, and they're flavored. That's really the only time I'll have any type of like artificial flavoring like that. And I don't really go off the path in terms of what I drink. Now, I might have a tequila or a beer every now and again. Alcohol is a different story. I don't really drink too much, but I'm not drinking any type of dairy. I don't drink any dairy at all. No milk. There's a lot of conflicting studies when it comes to that in terms of what the effects are on the body. I do know that in my own experience, I've felt better not drinking dairy. So milk substitutes, just go for a plant-based milk, and they're all pretty good. Oat milk, cashew milk, almond milk, things like that are all fine. Good, easy for the body to digest, tastes fine. So back to the original question. How did you phrase it?
I was just sourcing it. Like, how do you actually like go about it? Because I think some people just walk through the grocery store, and I mean that's maybe a little mundane, like the actual like down to it. But I think that those are the types of things. Is depending on where you're going, there's probably gonna be higher quality. Maybe it's more expensive, but at least it'll be better for you generally, right? Is kind of how it would work. So that was kind of really the essence of the question, because I think a lot of times people just pop in there and like, oh look, steak, but it's like the ratio of like protein to fat is like kind of wonky, and like it's like, oh, it's on sale, so let's just get it, that type of thing. So that was really the essence of it.
Yeah. So and just to kind of add off that a little bit, I do grocery shop a lot because of the amount of food that I'm eating, and also because I want the food to be fresh. So if you buy a ton of stuff and you stock up, are you buying fresh food? Probably not, because it would go bad. So I don't do it quite as seriously as my dad does. He'll go to the grocery store and buy what he's cooking for dinner that day. So he goes to the grocery store almost every day.
Wow.
Me, I go at least once a week, and then I'll meal prep all of my food. So kind of to segue into the meal prepping, I cook almost all the food that I eat on Sunday. So I talked about my hectic schedule. I wake up early, I'm at work all day, I go straight to the gym. How am I getting good nutrition in my body? Well, the week is won or lost in the preparation phase. So on Sundays, I kind of fret about setting up a good, healthy week for myself. It doesn't take much. You can buy some Tupperware containers. I bought some meal prep containers off of Amazon. And then I'll kind of build meals based on the things that I told you. So with those macronutrient ratios, so something that I made recently was grilled chicken, rice, and the rice had spinach, chickpeas, and red peppers in it, and a side of broccoli. So all those things in one container, microwave it for a minute, have that for lunch. Now sometimes it does get a little repetitive, eating the same, because I'll cook these meals in bulk. So like that meal that I gave you as an example, I'll have like 5 or 6 of those meals cooked. So eating the same thing for lunch every day can be rough. So I try to change it up, go with some variety. If I'm trying to spice up any food, I literally spice it up with hot sauce. So I don't ever add like ranch dressing or like a high fat dressing to anything. If anything, I'll add a little hot sauce or sriracha sauce, which, I mean, it's high sodium content, probably not the best thing for you, but considering I'm cracking down on all those other areas, I don't think it's it's negligible at that point.
Right. I wanna maybe go back, but it's still kind of all related. Thoughts on caffeine?
That's a good question. Personally, I drink 1 cup of black coffee every morning, and then a strong cup of coffee, I bet it's 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. And then in the afternoon, before I go to the gym, I will typically drink a pre-workout concoction that will be a clean pre-workout with caffeine and amino acids. So in that, there's probably another 150 milligrams of caffeine. So day to day, I'm ingesting about 300 milligrams of caffeine. And then I try to make a concerted effort to reset my caffeine tolerance. So for caffeine intake, I read that a good split to reset your tolerance is a 5-2 split. So drink caffeine 5 days a week, reset on the weekends. No coffee, no caffeine at all. That way, when you get back to your cup of coffee on Monday, it's going to hit you hard again, rather than, if you're used to drinking, 300 milligrams of caffeine every day for a couple months, you're going to have to up that to 400 to have any effects. Do that for a couple months, you're going to be up to 500. So you don't want to let it spiral out of control where you're like, oh my God, if I don't have 6 energy drinks today, I'm not going to be able to function.
Yeah.
So caffeine is okay. Studies have shown that it increases your metabolism and increases your strength output in the gym. So having caffeine before exercise can be very helpful, but you just don't want to let it get out of control, and you don't want to be dependent on it.
Yeah. That's an interesting perspective there, and I didn't know that the concept of splitting it like that. I think that's pretty cool, because my follow-up question was going to be, because I actually don't really drink caffeine at all. Like, I've never drank coffee, and I stopped drinking pop a long time ago, so I don't ingest it that much. Mainly water and, occasional milk and stuff. But the question that I always have for people that have been drinking coffee for a while, right, is like, have you ever tried to not? And I didn't realize that, like, you could actually do, like, I knew you could do that, but like that concept of splitting it like that, I guess that really helps. Like, does that actually work? Because I know people that they drink caffeine and coffee all the time. It's like they literally couldn't wake up one morning and not have it, because like they'll get headaches or all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So people get super dependent on it, myself included. So I've been drinking coffee, since I was in high school. I've just always liked it, enjoyed the taste of it.
Yep.
So this continued. While I was in college, actually, I would drink an entire pot of coffee every morning, not just 1 cup. So I would drink like 4 or 5 cups of coffee. That I don't recommend.
Yeah.
That can't be good for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was the?
Oh no, just in general, like I don't want to call it necessarily withdrawal, but like the possible withdrawals of like caffeine. Like, I didn't know. Like, it's just something that I'm always interested in, because I have no.
Oh
no
yeah,
experience
the withdrawal symptoms are pretty extreme, like fatigue and headache, irritability, anxiety. So if you're like a big coffee drinker and you try to quit cold turkey, that's gonna be rough for you. It's gonna be like coming off a drug.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're that dependent on it, you definitely need to start splitting it up, taking some days off, start to dwindle down your intake. I never feel dependent on it, so if I miss a cup of coffee, I'm okay, because I split it up like that. So I'm never like, oh man, I didn't have my morning cup of coffee, I'm not going to be able to function. As long as you kind of are controlling your total caffeine intake, you should be okay. But yeah, it's definitely something to consider if you're deep down that rabbit hole of coffee drinking, and it's going to be hard to cut back.
Definitely. Another random question, somewhat related. How do you feel about, like, specifically, so you're low carb right now? I guess that's almost keto-ish, like, around that area. How do you feel about, and have you heard anything, read anything, seen anything on, like, carnivore diet?
I've never tested it out on myself, but the scientific research is pretty incredible that it's a very, very good diet. And you would think that sounds crazy, that just eating a big T-bone steak every day is going to be good for you. But the research shows that it kind of is good for you. People with special diet requirements have responded really well to the carnivore diet, because it can reduce inflammation. People who have certain, like, celiac and gluten intolerance and are very susceptible to the inflammatory response of foods are shown to really take well to the carnivore diet. In terms of carnivore diet and fitness, the people who I've seen tried it have had the effects of increased muscle mass and reduced body fat, which is basically what everyone's shooting for.
Yeah.
So the results seem pretty good, but when I look at something like the carnivore diet, that can only be a short-term thing. Long-term, I would make the argument that you need all those micronutrients I was talking about. People need to be eating spinach. They need to be eating carrots. They need to be eating blueberries. So if you're just eating steak every day, you might be ripped and strong, but long-term, your body's going to be lacking somewhere, because you're definitely not getting all of the vitamins that you need just from meat.
Gotcha. And another super random question. Are you saying that when was the last time you had bread?
So white bread, maybe I slipped up. Maybe a couple times a year I'll have some white bread. But I actually, if I do eat bread, I have something called Dave's Killer Bread. Have you ever heard of that?
I don't think so, no.
So Dave's Killer Bread is a company. It's actually created by an ex-con. And when he got out of jail, he was working for a local family bakery. and he was way into fitness, and he wanted to create a bread that was healthy for people like him that were trying to watch their figure and whatnot. So it's very nutrient dense, and it's just made with like nuts and seeds and things like that. So it's not made with like white flour or whatever the other ingredients of a typical loaf of bread are. So I do eat that, and I enjoy the effects of that. So I feel like that's a good carb source. I feel good when I eat it. Don't feel bloated. Don't feel the inflammatory effect, and I don't feel the blood glucose spike. So anyone listening, I just get Dave's Killer Bread at Giant Eagle. It's a pretty popular brand. You could look it up. They have a lot of options. They actually also make bagels and English muffins, but it's the same thing. It's good ingredients. It's nutrient dense. So if I'm going to have bread, I'll have a healthy version of bread.
I think I've heard of Ezekiel bread.
Yeah,
very
similar.
Yeah.
And I've had Ezekiel bread also. Super healthy for the same reasons that I just said about Dave's Killer Bread. I feel like Dave's Killer Bread has the recipe down a little better because Ezekiel bread can be very dense and dry.
I remember, this is a little reminiscent here, back when I was like watching more fitness content and trying to be like there was a period in my life where I kind of had a little bit of a fitness transition. I've said the story before, so I won't go into depth, but like it just basically went from fried food to grilled chicken and from pop to water is really the essence of it, and a little bit more, like actual training and things like that. But I feel like there was a period in time there where I thought that, being fit and all that sort of stuff, where I'm trying to go, like when you think about like, transitioning into that and nutrition, all that sort of stuff, what are your thoughts on, and I think I can kind of make an educated guess on the aisle in the store with like protein bars and stuff like that, that isn't like just like a supplement, but it's like actually made into like, like a Quest bar or something like that. Is that something that you've ever had in your diet? Do you kind of like recommend that? Would you probably just like say no, or what's your kind of thoughts?
So, and that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of these, won't call them supplements, but like protein products, like protein bars. Everyone knows what we're talking about, the aisle in the store with the protein bars. Typically, they are packed with artificial sweeteners. It's the only reason they taste good. And some people don't even think they taste good. They have that very artificial flavor. And they're low on the micronutrients that I've been stressing so much. So they might be high in protein, but it's not food. When I think of food, I think, does it grow from the ground or does it eat something that grows from the ground? So the rule is really plants and animals. You should be eating plants and animals. Plants meaning fruits and vegetables, and animals meaning good quality meats. So those don't fall into that category. And if you're trying to be like a nutrition purist and eating the best possible diet you can, probably is not going to have any room for protein bars. Now, me personally, being busy and stuff like that, I will have a protein bar here and there. I keep them stocked in my house in case I'm on the run or something like that. So it's just important to choose a product that tries to avoid those things that I talked about, that they don't have a lot of artificial sweeteners. They don't have a lot of fillers and bullshit in them. So one that comes to mind that you actually said is Quest. Quest is a good company that makes protein bars. They're pretty delicious. They have a wide variety of flavors, good protein content, easy to digest, and the ingredient label isn't too terrible. So there are options that are okay. Now, I'd say that if your options are you're going to a party and you know that they're just going to have wings and pizza there, and you could stop at a gas station and get a protein bar before so that you don't eat while you're there, that would be a good idea. But if you're avoiding eating good, healthy food and opting for a protein bar, that would be the wrong choice.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I just remember that because like it was like, oh, I'm into fitness now. I got to go down this aisle with protein bars and grab some protein bars for when I'm like hungry, almost as like a snack. Because I think a lot of times they call them meal replacement bars.
Yeah.
That's I guess not a great idea.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're gonna talk to some people in fitness that are gonna be like, yeah, what do you mean? This guy's crazy. You should be eating protein bars all the time. I would disagree, and I'm gonna make that argument for eating good quality food, plants and animals, stuff that either grows from the ground or eats something that grows from the ground.
Yeah, I feel you. But yeah, man, that's a lot of great stuff there on the nutrition front and everything like that. And we'll continue to see where that goes. Maybe one day you'll be a certified nutritionist as well, and like have all that and be able to do
definitely.
that. Because there's definitely a lot of great knowledge there. So we were talking about a couple things we need to cover still, and we have to go back before we go forward a little bit to the next topic, is because we totally forgot to talk about something. You were recently on. I remember putting it up on my story, and a lot of other people spotted it out. I think I got the mailer after I saw you on the front page of Dick's Sporting Goods website as a model. So, dude, walk me through that. What the hell happened there?
Yeah, definitely. Pretty cool story. And it's definitely been helpful with the fitness business.
Yeah.
So maybe a couple weeks after I had filmed and photographed the promotional material for the business launch. So this was, late September, we'll say. A client of mine had sent me a link to apply for, it was through a local Pittsburgh casting agency, to apply for, they needed a fitness model. And in the description, it said we basically need somebody who's qualified to use, I forget what all they were looking for, dumbbells, kettlebells, treadmill, somebody with a martial arts background, they could hit the heavy bag, stuff like that. I was reading it, and I was like, I think I'm the man for the job.
Yeah.
That's what I do for fun. And luckily, I had some professionally taken photographs. Some were actually taken by my girlfriend, Taylor Boback. She runs Boback Photography. So I sent them the photos that I had, and I didn't think much of it because the ad just said a local Pittsburgh company is looking for someone to do XYZ. So didn't put too much thought into it, sent the lady over some pictures, forgot about it. 3 weeks later, she got back to me and said, you have been chosen by Dick's Sporting Goods to be part of their advertising. So I was like, oh, Dick's Sporting Goods, that's not a small company. I mean, they're Pittsburgh based, but it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited.
I didn't know that. They're Pittsburgh based.
I think they are based out of Pittsburgh.
I did not know.
Yeah.
That. Well, I think I might have put that 2 and 2 together. But are they national?
They might not have began in Pittsburgh, but I think they're headquartered in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Their headquarters are in like Coriopolis, I think.
I think I know somebody that works there. But that's interesting. Okay, keep going.
So from there, I was like, wow, that's pretty exciting. And then I was contacted by a person at Dick's Sporting Goods, and they gave me a location and basically just told me to show up, and they would need me for the whole day. I was like, all right, sounds great. So I'm driving out there. The location was in Mars, PA. I was like, oh, all right, no big deal. 45 minutes away. I'm looking for the location. I can't find the address, and I'm just in like this like empty plan of homes that they're building. Yeah. So I'm like, what the? So I really went into this not knowing anything. So I finally find there's one home built in this entire plan. So I drive down this whole empty cul-de-sac to this one mansion. It was a huge house. Yeah. I pull up, and there's like a whole team there outside waiting for me. And COVID era, so I had to sign some waivers, get a temp test, stuff like that. I go in, and there's like a team of producers waiting there. So there's like a hair and makeup lady. There's like 10 to 15 photographers, videographers. There's a full-blown director. There's, marketing people there. I walk into like, 20, 25 people in this house and me. Like they're just waiting for me. So a little bit intimidating there. I have no modeling experience, and I'm by no means trying to be a model. That's not what I intend. But in any case, so I get ready, and what they were doing was they were launching a home fitness marketing campaign for 2021. So they had all of this workout equipment set up in this house, and basically I went through a wide variety of different exercises that they were filming me do and taking pictures of, so that they could use for promotional material. So we did that for about 4 hours. Took a break, got some lunch. Some other people showed up, some other like fitness models that came to shoot, and then we did like kind of like a group video together. And then I did some more stuff by myself at the end. So during the whole process, I had a good time. I was getting paid to work out, so that was like the best case scenario for me. All the people I worked with were really nice. And then again, didn't think too much about it. couple weeks went by. They told me that they would be using the material. Again, this was filmed probably in October.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that they would be using the material throughout 2021 for their home fitness marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple months go by. All of a sudden, I remember that I had done this. Mm-hmm. It's in December. I'm like, oh, this should be coming out pretty soon. I check on their website, and I'm on their front page of their website. I was like, oh, that's pretty serious. I'm doing like a dumbbell row from a push-up position. So I was like, wow, that's pretty exciting. I'm glad they featured me on their website. They could have very well used none of my pictures because they worked with a lot of other models as well. Yeah. It wasn't just me. So then after New Year's, I guess they mail out a 2021 catalog to anyone who subscribes to that sort of thing. And I was on the cover of that. Mm-hmm. So super exciting. Didn't expect that. So that's pretty huge. And then, more and more things are surfacing where, email blasts. I'm on the email of it. Yeah. Different things that they're promoting on like Facebook, Instagram, social media. Mm-hmm. They're using pictures of me. So, and they will continue to do so for the entire year.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting to see what other photographs they're going to use, but it was pretty cool. They decked me out in Under Armour gear. I was wearing an Under Armour shirt, shorts, and shoes. So I had fun doing that, and that really helped bolster what I was trying to do in terms of my fitness business. Me being on the cover of a magazine is obviously going to be helpful in that regard. So
definitely.
So I get a lot of people busting my balls like, oh, pretty boy, look at this model guy. So all my friends had a good time fucking with me about it. That's for sure. But at the end of the day, I was on the magazine and they weren't, so they can fuck right off. But it was a cool experience. Yeah. And, if I can somehow find another gig like that, that would be awesome. Oh, and interestingly enough, I had a conversation with the director, and I basically said, so how do you guys pick people for this type of thing? And he said that something they look for is they want to have like a wide variety of like body types. So some of the other people I worked with, like the one guy was like 6'4", real lean, athletic looking. Another guy was a football player, like a semi-pro football player. He was bigger, maybe like 240, big guy. And then they used, scrawny little me, like 155 pounds, tatted up. And then it was pretty cool. They had one woman there who had she was like an amputee, had one arm, and she was a badass. I think she was like a marathon runner. She was in great shape. So he was explaining like different body types that they were trying to showcase. And then I asked him, well, why'd you guys pick me? Because there was about 250 submissions, and they picked like 5 people to be a part of this. And he said he was impressed by, not just the photos that I submitted to him, but I sent him a video of me shadowboxing, doing Muay Thai. And he said they all saw that, and they had never seen any submission like that. So it made me stand out because a lot of people don't know martial arts. A lot of people especially don't know Muay Thai, which is, a very technical martial art. So that's kind of what set me apart and caused them to pick me, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know when I saw that, I was like, is that Liam? And then honest to God, this is literally what I did. I was like, is that Liam? I think that's Liam. And this was like right around the time where like we were kind of like reconnecting like digitally, I was like, God damn, it really looks like Liam. And then I like, no joke, went to your profile. I was trying to match up the tats. And
It's a good way to do it.
It's like, there's got to be some way that I could backtrack. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's Liam. So that was crazy though. Because man, that was something to see that. I have 2 questions specifically about that I'm interested in knowing if you can share. Do you get paid for something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other question is, this isn't really a question, but it's more of like I guess it's kind of just something that you have to, it's just like kind of part of the circumstances with a bigger brand. I would love to see a brand like Dick's Sporting Goods throw the fucking IG username or something at the bottom of those pictures. I understand, I guess, why they don't do it, because it's their stuff and they paid you for it or whatever. But at the same time though, like I looked at it and was like, I knew who you were, But at the same time, and you can share it out, obviously, and that's one thing. But I just think it would be kind of cool. I guess it would kind of detract from their marketing campaign. But
I think so.
I don't know though, man. Hopefully we get Fueled by Progress up to that point, and we have like ambassadors and we have like people modeling and stuff. I always want to try to give credit to these people that are trying to build up their own shit too, because I think that's like a really important thing.
Yeah, it seems like they would more so do that for somebody who's like famous. Like I know they have, they do things with like The Rock.
Right.
So then they'll tag them out, but for just little old me from Ingram, they don't give me no shout out. Yeah, so I kind of wish that they would make it more personal like that too. But a big corporation, they're not worried about me.
Right. Yeah. Comes with it. I'm sure you have more opportunities, and you can always share it with people. So, but that's dope, man. That's a hell of a story. So. Okay, let's segue into this probably one of the final topics that we'll talk about here, because it's an interesting one, and I know we talked about it, and I want to get into it. So the idea of, and I'll try and just kick it over to you because you know more about this than I do, like just like the cannabis industry, usage of cannabis, and something that like kind of the side that really is going to probably affect more people than just like it itself. It's one of those things that like, when this happens, there's more ramifications or more things that happen, like the economics and like investing and like the whole industry, like any part of the business behind cannabis. So like just like however you want to describe it. And
So I'll start by saying that I am a huge advocate and proponent of cannabis. Yeah. I use cannabis. Yeah. There should be no stigma to that. The way that I use it, after a long day of working out, to help relax my mind and body, to help disconnect from some of the stresses that I may be facing, and to help spark some creativity and positive thought. And in those regards, cannabis has been very helpful. It's something I really enjoy. I think there are legitimate benefits to things such as like reducing anxiety and things like that. So I have long been pushing for the widespread national and federal legalization of cannabis. And that is for a variety of reasons. So the first reason I'd like to point out, in terms of what is legal in America, there are a lot worse things that you could put into your body.
Definitely.
Alcohol, for one. And then we can get into the big pharmaceutical companies and all the damage that they've done throughout the country, prescribing addictive drugs that will really ruin your life. Things like the opioid crisis. Yep. For something like that to be able to take place, where doctors are prescribing it and pharmaceutical companies are creating it in a laboratory, that's fine. But to use a plant that grows naturally in the ground and has been used by cultures for thousands of years, that's illegal. That's it's wrong. It's insane. Yeah. In terms of the economic ramifications, so let's say we legalize cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. What would happen? How would America be better off for that? So let's look at the jobs that would be created. So first of all, you're going to be employing a lot of farmers and manufacturers. So people that know how to grow it, people that know how to test it, people that know how to package it, harvest it, so on. So you're looking at thousands and thousands of jobs just in, on the growing side of things. Then once it's grown, you need scientists to test it. So more jobs, more safety would be. So if you legalized it, it would be safer because you would have scientists testing it rather than somebody grows it in their backyard and sells it to somebody on the streets. There's no way to test the quality. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
So you would be putting a safer product out there in a controlled way, but then still staying with the jobs idea. The transportation industry, moving this product back and forth. Truck drivers need that work. They need to be moving freight. So if you have more freight on the line for them to move, more money in their pockets. Then you look at the stores that would open up. So in the city of Pittsburgh, there's a handful, at least 10 cannabis shops, dispensaries. So, you got all the jobs there. And then you're giving people access to an alternative form of medicine that is much better than other things that they could be leading to.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody has, serious problems with, anxiety and depression or something like that, cannabis might be a legitimate option for them to explore instead of, going to the local bar and getting drunk and throwing their life away, or maybe they start abusing opiates, or, there's a whole myriad of disasters that they could walk into, whereas, going to a local cannabis shop and buying one of those products can be helpful, and they'd be avoiding all the other disasters that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it just seems like we are so behind in the times. This should have been done long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm upset where America is currently with it. I think something in the ballpark of 65% of people are in favor of federal national legalization, yet it's not done yet. So you got more than half of the country is on board, and it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just behind, and we need to update our policies and practices. We also need to update our perspective with how we view something like cannabis. We don't need to view it as, don't get me wrong, it needs to be treated with precaution and safety, and I don't condone anyone under the use of 21 using cannabis, because there are some things in terms of hindering brain development and things like that from using it at a young age. You shouldn't be using it while you're driving, obviously. But aside from those things, there are benefits to it. I think America would be a happier place if people were smoking joints and just going for walks in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have personal experience, so I can't really comment on that, but I love the alcohol versus cannabis debate, because there's a lot of people that drink alcohol, no judgment, but but just comparing the two, I think that alcohol in and of itself has much, bigger risks associated with it than cannabis, from everything that I've heard and seen and everything like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this is probably a silly question, but just because I'm unaware. Currently, it's not federally and nationally legalized. Is it legalized in certain states though, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I think over half of the states in the United States have legalized it at that state level.
Mm-hmm.
But the federal government could crack down on any of those states whenever they want. So it's a really weird situation. So let's say, a cannabis dispensary company in Colorado is making X amount of money. The federal government could go in and seize that money because it's illegally made money. Even though at a state level, they're just operating their business within reason.
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation, and it seems like not to get political, but more, I guess, Democratic representatives have been in favor of this legalization. So with the current situation of the United States government, I think that it's something that will come up here pretty soon, hopefully within a year or so. This might be addressed. But yeah, it doesn't really make sense that, one state's legalized it, but, the federal government still frowns upon it. It's odd.
Yeah. I see it's probably more of a conservative roadblock, I would assume. And yeah, I don't tend to agree with that. I don't know. I wish there's a lot that we could go into, which we probably just won't, because it's been almost 2.5 hours or whatever. But that whole side of the things there is, I wish in general, just on this topic, our country would look at things at face value and make an educated and logical decision based off of that specific thing, rather than like looking at something and instead of using critical thinking, just kind of defaulting to one side of the aisle or the other. Because I think everybody would be better off that way, because I think we're all very capable of looking at individual situations, circumstances, policies, what have you, and thinking it through, rather than, what's this person think, or what's this person think. It's I don't know. Definitely get inspiration from people and get critical, thoughts and stuff like that from people, but it just gets dangerous in an echo chamber sometimes, which is, again, a different thing. It's not exactly completely related, but I think there is absolutely people with the stigma around the use of cannabis and just it as a thing. I think a lot of it comes from undereducation too. You know, just not understanding. You know, never doing any research on it. You know, personal experience. But some things you don't even need to have per se personal experience on. You know, you can just kind of understand it from different things. So, but yeah, definitely an interesting thing. And I know I mentioned to you that I was in Aurora Cannabis for about, you know, like a week or so, and I lost money on that. So that was sad. But that's something that, like, you know, we talk back to the economic things. It's like, it's just going to create more opportunity in a lot of ways, you know, in opportunity to invest in different, you know, companies that come up, corporations, things like that are trying to, you know, just be a linchpin in that industry in this country. Cause that's going to be a huge thing if it does turn at some point.
It seems like there's a ton of demand for it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely I mean, it already is a huge industry, but it's only growing. So, you know, you're more of the finance guy than I am, but people who are in finance know that this is going to be a huge industry.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. If we can touch on like the I don't want to say like the effects of it in a sense, like, so you tell me as somebody that is a cannabis user, like, do you like, I feel after, I know we've known each other for a long time, but I feel like even like, this is going to sound maybe weird, but even like your presence, like in this, you know, 3 so hours that we've been together today, it's like, you seem very calm. You seem very like, you know, just level-headed, chill. And I think there's a lot of people today, especially with the anxiety thing. It's like, I hear people, they have anxiety and they get on like, I don't know, what's like a common medications, like a pill form.
Xanax.
Yeah. I thought that was one. Yeah. It's like, you know, that seems a little like, have they tried like these alternative things that like you said, that's the pharmaceutical industry, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones too, is it's just kind of, I don't, here's where maybe I can add a little personal anecdote. Like when I'm in pain, I try to get through it. I don't even like taking like NSAIDs and Tylenol and shit like that. Like unless I really have to, right? But that is where I really empathize with this type of argument, is where, why wouldn't you try something natural before you try something that's completely unnatural?
Right. So I like that you brought up NSAIDs, because I've made the argument to other people that marijuana is safer for you than taking Advil or Tylenol.
Yeah.
Those things are actually really bad for your body to process. They're hard on the liver. They're hard on the stomach tissue.
Up, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like the effects of cannabis are a lot more profound and effective than taking those things. So
yeah,
I'm not saying every time you get a headache, you should just smoke weed about it.
Right.
But, you know, there's things on the market that are bad for you.
Yeah.
Marijuana is not that bad for you.
Right.
I actually don't know of any legitimate health ailments that come from consistent cannabis use. So, you know, you're not going to get cancer from smoking weed.
Yeah.
The lung issues that may come about from smoking are debated, because sometimes they can be caused by, you know, smoking it through, you know, a joint paper or a tobacco leaf or something like that. But for people who are vaporizing it and smoking it, I don't think they have any lung issues. I don't think there's anything published that says that those people are going to get emphysema or something like that. So what are the risks? Impaired decision making? Perhaps, but if you're using it in a controlled environment, like if you're, you know, laying in bed at the end of the night and you want to kind of get that euphoric, you know, creative type state of mind, what's bad about that?
Yeah. I think a lot of things are just, if you know, as long as you're not hurting anybody, why the hell does anybody, you know,
Yeah, that's always a good
hurting
policy.
other people, and preferably not hurting yourself. So I think that fits here. But yeah, that's, hopefully it continues to kind of like trend a little upward, because I think it'd benefit a lot of people. The one thing I was going to say was, maybe the reason that the pharmaceutical industry obviously is further along, or is like widely accepted, even though it's, you know, kind of a little askew, is probably just because of the amount of money that's in it. And I don't make the decisions, obviously. Maybe there's people, though, it's total speculation, that are like looking at this situation, like, can we really get, like, if like, let's say you legalize cannabis, right? And then people are, you know, using cannabis, for instance, instead of Xanax. Like, do you think like they're worried that like the market share, if this is a crude, terminology, but like the market share of like pharmaceutical drugs would go down, cannabis would go up, and they wouldn't be able to recoup those costs? I feel like that might be
No, that's huge, and nobody dumps more money into the anti-cannabis lobbies than the pharmaceutical industry. They drop billions and billions of dollars preventing marijuana from becoming legalized for that exact reason. Those big corporate entities are going to lose big money, and they just can't have it.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, hopefully you see some change there. I guess that would be
I hope
that'd
so.
be nice.
I think that would be a huge step in the right direction. I mean, our country has a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that legalizing marijuana is going to fix all of them, but that's one that they could fix right away.
Definitely. We'll see how it goes. In the future here.
So you said you got some questions for me.
I got some questions for you. Yeah. Everybody comes on here. Obviously, there's been a lot of questions so far. There's three main ones that I kind of always bring up if you're a regular viewer of the show. I always pass these along at the very end, just calling them the final three, because I really think that they tie a lot of things together and tie together the show very nicely. So the first one is, throughout your life, I think throughout all of our lives, we're molded in a certain way to become the people that we are today and into the future. But to this point, who would you say your top three biggest influences have been on you to this point? And then they could be actual people in your life. They could be people indirectly. They could be, like anything really. But like the three biggest influences. It's tough to narrow down maybe, but yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's definitely tough. I'm lucky to have a really good relationship with my dad. He's one of my best friends. I still live with him. He gives me constant advice and guidance. He's always there for me, and he's led me down a pretty good path. He's a really fit, healthy guy himself, and that's one of the reasons that I'm able to live a fit and healthy lifestyle, is because he's taught me how to. So first and foremost is definitely my dad is the main leader in my life. Somebody who I've never met, and I abide by their philosophy and ideology. I'll say Marcus Aurelius. Leader of the Roman Empire. I'm very into Stoic philosophy and expressing like mental control over my emotions and things like that. So I get a lot of inspiration from him. A famous his journal was published, and it's referred to as Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So if anyone ever has the time to read that or any excerpts from that, I get a lot of my daily philosophy and my daily kind of meditative practices are from his writings. Beyond that, number three, that would be a tough one. I won't narrow it down to a single person. So I'll say that I have a very elaborate friend group. So I've had friends that I probably met them when I was 5 years old. They were my best friends then, and they're my best friends now. And that circle of friends has had a huge influence on my life. Having a good circle of friends like that to bounce ideas off each other, get each other into some trouble, get each other out of some trouble. They've played a huge role in basically the person that I am now.
Nice. All good influences, man. Can't knock it. Second question. Scenarios like somebody comes up to you on the street, in the gym, whatever. It doesn't have to be about a specific thing, but what is to this point, your best general life advice that you give to somebody? Or something that you live by,
Yeah, right. So not that I have any answers on the meaning to life, but what is life all about? And I'd say that it's, playing the best in terms of, whatever hand you're dealt, making the most of it. So regardless of the situation, doing the best you can. No matter what's going wrong, there's some way that you can, take some horrible tragedy and spin it into something, productive, something positive. So given any situation, good or terrible, play it to your advantage. So something negative happens, like I suffer 3 ACL tears year after year after year. Well, now I know how to prevent injury better than most people. I know how to train my legs harder than most people. And I know how to deal with the mental difficulty of getting knocked down again and again and again.
Optimism too.
Right.
Yep. Nice. I love it. last one, kind of a layup. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about the business. We talked about everything. And we've put some stuff. I'll have some links in the description as well as anything that you talk about here. But like just anything you want to plug, like one last time, if you want to promote, the business again, anywhere people can find you, stuff like that. I always like to try to pass the viewership and the anybody that watches these along to my guests, because I'm very appreciative for you coming on.
Yeah, definitely. So just some people I want to shout out. I know that I mentioned Shane McFarland and Jordan Lee.
Yep.
So Shane McFarland is a video expert, best around, best in Pittsburgh. Jordan Lee is on the photography side of things. Same thing, best guy around. And they work with such a variety of different people. They work with me, fitness. They work with rappers. They work with, they do real estate, all kinds of things. So those guys are great in terms of creating content and media. I also mentioned before, a good close friend of mine, my tattoo artist, Michael Otenero, has been a huge inspiration to me and somebody who I work with hand in hand on a lot of things. He's helped design my logos. He's top notch for any graphic design like that. And I'd say that his best skill is his artwork. So he sells paintings, does tattoos. So anyone in the area that's looking for that type of service, that's the guy I'd recommend, hands down. My girlfriend, Taylor Boback, has her own photography company, Boback Photography. She's also helped me out with photography on the fitness side of things. She does a lot of things like senior portraits, wedding photography, couples photos, stuff like that. And then lastly, I just want to reinforce my company, Carlin Fitness Systems, provides a wide variety of services in the fitness game. So if you're looking to really clean up your game, get in shape, lose some weight for the beach, whatever it may be. Maybe you're a college athlete training for the combine. Maybe you're 60 years old and you're looking to drop some pounds. Doesn't matter. I have clients that are 65 years old. I have clients that are 6 years old. So anyone and everyone, I'm sure that I can help you out in some way. Aside from the one-on-one training, I also provide training programs. So they would be very detailed, very structured plans of attack for somebody to follow to get themselves fit.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Well, man, listen, this has been tremendous. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was great to catch up. I'm very excited to rekindle this relationship, if you will.
Definitely.
I mean, we're absolutely going to be keeping in touch here and watching each other grow, which is what I love to do. So, again, man, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Absolutely, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Fueled by Progress with my guest, Liam Carlin. We thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you in the next one.